before we go into goals, because everyone's like, tell me the strategy. How do I build my goals? Because who here has started a year or some portion of it, and some part of it, you just stop and you're like, what am I doing? What am I supposed to be doing? I'm not feeling motivated. I'm not feeling inspired. I'm feeling a little bit checked out. I'm feeling a little bit disconnected. And anyone here happened at some point last year? You lost some of that mojo. You lost some of that direction. Anyone here got into moments where you question yourself, where you're like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not more disciplined? Why am I not more committed? Why am I not further ahead by now? Anyone else? Or is that okay? Okay, cool. We're going to have some fun today. We are going to have a freaking blast today, because my goal of this session, okay, and I'm going to have to debunk some things, unteach some of the things that you may have been thought or know. And this is not my own opinions that I'm sharing here. This is from a decade plus of my experience coaching thousands of salespeople, investing multiple six figures to learn from the world's best. This is also pulling from the high performance research from 20 years of study and research on high performance worldwide. And a lot of what we look to study is who from the top 5% most successful people on the planet. We're talking millions of data points, 190 plus different countries, all the data variables from CEOs, Fortune 500. Like, we literally, to date, from the High Performance Institute, have the largest study on high performers worldwide. And the study went to go and validate is what makes those individuals the way that they are the most successful. And when we talk about success, it's not just the material, like, hey, I got the finances. When we define high performance, it's about the ongoing success, of course, the material wealth, but it's maintaining good health and positive relationships. Because we all know someone who has the money, but they're miserable as hell. Someone who has the great health, but they're broke, okay? So a lot of this is I'm pulling in from my own personal experience. You know, for the last decade plus, I have nauseatingly obsessed about personal development and sales for about on average 350 days of the year. The only thing I do is train and study outside of my work. I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly growing. So I'm sharing from my own insight. I'm sharing from my coaches. I'm sharing from my 9-figure mentor, some of the insights and the secrets that I've learned from some of the masterminds, everything that I'm a part of. And I'm looking to answer these big questions, because the reality is, and I'm going to start flippantly here just to wake everyone out of the hypnosis and jump us in, okay? If you are thinking that this masterclass or any masterclass, and if anyone sells you something that they're like, hey, 1 day, 2 days, we're going to figure out your whole life plan and you're going to glide and dance through, I would run the other way. So I'm prefacing that you're going to learn strategies and frameworks and new ways to think and new ways to process. But mind you, at the other side of this, when the door of clarity knocks, okay, the first habit across high performers worldwide is seeking clarity. It's not an adjective. It is seeking clarity. It is a verb, meaning it is a thing that you are doing. You are constantly doing it. So we will get that extra clarity. We will get that extra momentum today. But more importantly is you will have the tools to continuously seek clarity, okay? Because we have business people, we have people from different walks, we have salespeople, we have people doing jobs. So I'm going to try to speak my best to the audience, and I will give you a heads up. I'm going to cater it more to the entrepreneurs and the salespeople and the setters, predominantly who are there. So if you are not part of that group, I still love you, but I'm going to cater the messaging a bit more custom. And before we go into the goals, the strategies, I'm going to share some the 9-figure blueprint of running business strategies, not me, not there yet, from my mentor, never been shared publicly, not seen anywhere. And I'm going to go into it so you can learn how you structure and design your year coming up. Even if you don't run a business, this will still be applicable for you. Who's excited to get a little bit of deeper insights behind some of that? Okay. We will go into a lot of the things of what keeps us stuck, what holds us back, what prevents us from stepping into who we want, ways to think about, okay, how do I actually structure my goals? How do I actually structure, and I'm going to debunk goals because we've all been taught different things about it. We're going to go into that. And most importantly, by the end of this, you will have the clarity of, okay, I know where I'm trying to go. I know what I need to focus on. I know what I need to work on and what has stopped me in the past, because I want to help you avoid some of the traps. But before we do anything, all change. Okay, if you want to remember one thing, all change, the first gate of change, before any acceptance, action, and initiative, any of that, all change starts with awareness. Okay, so before you can change something, we need to get, and for my salespeople, you're like, oh, where are you at currently, right? Like, you need to figure out what the current state is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through what we call in the high performance. We're just going to go through, if the camera can catch it. And attempt number 2. I practiced with the camera. And okay, well, it's a mystery page. Ah, shit, the life arenas. Okay, all right. You didn't even need to see my bad writing. Okay, so the life arenas, what we're going to do is you have to look at your life holistically. And someone messaged James, I swear to God, if he jumps in and out, he's been in and out 7 times. And every time it beeps me, tell him I'm going to fly through and drop kick him. If someone can hit him in the chat. Okay. All right. I'm just teasing you. Okay.
That's a different James you got.
It's a different James. Oh, my James. Hey, what's up, James? That's another one. Okay. We're going to drop kick that one. Okay. All right, I'm just joking. Okay. So life arenas. What we're going to do is we're going to look at your life holistically, okay? Because a lot of times, I know at some point you've grinded so hard and you're like, I feel empty. I grinded so hard, I feel burnt out. I grinded so hard, I feel misaligned. Or I tried to grind, but I can't grind. I'm not doing the work because I feel so overwhelmed that I'm lost and my whole life is in chaos, okay? You're making money, you're not making money, you're happy, you're not happy. Like there's all this stuff happening. And it's usually, and it's not about getting balance, it's understanding, okay, here's how to look at your life. Because part of how you design your year, part of what you need to look at this year, everyone's at a completely different stage. We're all in the same book, we're just at different chapters. So you got to figure out for you, you're like, okay, I got to focus really hard on here now. And maybe it's not a Q1 thing, maybe it's a Q2 thing, maybe it's a Q3 thing. So it can help you look at how you map out your year. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to read out what the life arena is. And for you, all I need you to do, I prefer you not type for this. I prefer you not worry about writing everything I say verbatim. I actually care the most for you to workshop. I want you to focus on answering the questions and the prompts. So as you go through here, don't try to take things verbatim. Don't try to write down all the frameworks. That doesn't matter, because if you opted in through here, that means you're in the email. That means I will push you the recording. Okay. So you will get the recording to this. I wouldn't freak about that. What I care more about is you use this space to think. Okay. So it's not about what I'm saying that's going to give you the big unlock. It's what you allow to download and open up for you that's going to give you the clarity. So as I share some of these things, I'm going to start talking about the life arenas. And we're going to go break it down. I'm like, don't focus on, okay, he said health and this is what it means. It's like, just write your number. Okay. So all the arenas, as we go through them, you're going to get it and you're going to put it on a scale of 1 to 10. 10, you're like, I'm amazing. I'm booming. I'm loving. Incredible. 1, I'm dead. Okay. And 1, the first arena is super simplistic, but you need to have a hard reality. You need to confront where you're at. And none of this is from a place of judgment. This is from a place of love. Okay. So you have to look at your health. Okay. In your health. And I'm going to give you some ways to think about it before you rank it. Okay. I feel right now that, so if you're thinking, you're like, I feel that my overall physical, emotional, mental well-being is primed and optimized to make me feel energetic, motivated, and strong each day. Because we all know if you do not have the energy to sustain the goals that you dream of, you'll never get them. Okay. I have the mental and physical stamina to deal with life's challenges and opportunities. I regularly, key indication, I regularly take care of myself so I can feel my best. So 10 means you have pretty dialed in routines fairly consistently. You take care of yourself. You have the strength, the energy, the stamina to deal with the stresses, the struggles. You're not emotionally breaking down. You're not surprised. Okay. 1, you ain't even here. 1, you didn't make it to the call. So no one here's a 1. Okay. So get the number for you, not from a place of judgment. The worst number you could ever have is a 7. So if any of you guys are padding 7s, stay away from the 7s. Okay. I won't go into the second section is lover. Okay. Lover means, and if you're single like me, it's less about the intimate partner and you look at it from a place of self-love. So for my lovers, I feel consistent, deep, trusting, appreciating, soulful, loving connection with my significant other. Okay. I'm patient, respectful, and attentive to my partner's needs. If you are single, apply this to yourself. You are loving to yourself. Loving to yourself, especially for my men in here, because I know we could be dumbasses and we're like, oh, I'm stuck. What's wrong with me? And we beat ourselves up and we won't. So, and the love component, if you are hard on yourself, if you beat yourself down, you don't cheer yourself up, you're more on the 3, 4, 5 scale. If you're a 10, you're your best cheerleader, you're your best friend, you're on that. Okay. The next arena that we're looking at is family and friends. And you can separate this if it's easier for you. Family and friends, your immediate social circle, okay, your family and your friends brings connection. It has a fun and positive energy into your life. Your friends are uplifting, your family's uplifting. You have that joy and spirit. You seek out positive people and you do your very best to bring positive energy and real authenticity into your relationships. Okay, 10, you got loving comrades, people that are growing, challenging you, supporting you, being there for you. Family, similar thing. Some it's easier to split, some it's easier to break down. One, you can figure out what that looks like. Okay. And if you're struggling on the friend side, you got great ascenders and incredible community here that you can be connecting with. The next one, okay, mission. Okay, this is a big one. Okay, I feel so. I just, as I read these statements, okay, I just want you to like see how you identify with it. Okay, so when we look at mission, is I feel clear, energized, and fulfilled by my work and contribution to the world. I believe that my work or my day's effort adds real value to the world and is a true reflection of my best efforts and contributions. I enjoy the lifestyle my work is helping me experience. I enjoy my life, my work, my creative expression. I enjoy the mission that I'm on. At 10, you're like, man, my soul is lit up. I'm on fire. Life is good. For my moderators, if the other James comes in one more time, just ban him. We're now at 12 times. I'm counting. Okay, I'm just teasing you. Okay. So you gotta look at that and be like, okay, my mission. And the reason why I'm pausing a lot on mission, because I know a lot of you are very mission focused. And I need you to have that reflection, because as we go into the goals and the setting and all of that, you got to figure out where's your starting point, where's your ending point. Okay. Finances. Okay. Some of us don't like to talk about the finances, but you got to look at the finances, at where you're at with the finances. Okay. I have a level of abundance that I need. I have stable income in my lifestyle. I have the finances to support the life that I desire for myself and my family. I earn and invest at the levels that I hope to have at this level of my life. I have a clear vision. I have a clear vision for improving my finances and lifestyle over the coming years. Okay. A really big thing, guys, throughout my career that I've seen over and over and over, myself included, is my solution to everything was make more money. But I didn't understand how to build a relationship with money, how to look at investing money early on. So I would just make more, spend more, make more, spend more, make more, spend more. And my goal was just make more, make more, make more, make more. But my relationship with money was a little bit weird. So as you look at this, it's like, do you have the plan? Do you have the financial literacy? Are you aware of what to do with the money, how to do it, to deal with your taxes, to reduce your burden, all those things, even if you're early on? Okay. 1 to 10. So all of these, you're just ranking yourself. Hobby is the next arena. I have a passionate pastime that allows me to express, enjoy, or develop myself outside of my job career. Folks, my job career, and I give enough time to the things that I love. Okay. Spirit. I feel connected to the present moment, and I feel connected to the present moment and vitally alive in my spirit. And everyone's going to have a different. It's different. That it's going to be different for every single person here. Okay, from the spirit side of things, and you got to define what that means to you. Okay, I feel connected to the present moment. I'm vitally alive. I'm congruent with my beliefs and behavior. I keep my faith and values at the forefront of my decisions and daily actions. Okay, whatever your faith is, whatever your spirit is, whatever it is that an active part that you're connected with? Is that an active part that you're present with? Before here, the reason I stepped out, because we were SWAT teaming, trying to bring all of this, is I went to go do a prayer because I'm connected with my creator. And my big ask was just to help them, to help have him to feel, for you guys to feel his spirit through me, for me to show up and serve, for me to share the message that gives someone the unlock, the decision. That was my play of connecting with my spirit. So for everyone here, as I just share these life areas, I'm curious in the chat, what was, can I get an amen on a Friday? What was your highest ranking arena? Drop it in the chat. Just drop the word. If you want to drop the number, if you're audacious, just drop it. I'm just curious what we see. Okay. What was your highest thing? And James, as you're doing that, for people that are using your link, I'll drop you a different link, have them register, because every time they come in, they'll keep coming in as James. So they have to use a separate link. So I'll give you the link directly to register. Okay. Let's see. So we got health. Health was the highest mission. Okay. Mission, family, mission, mission, a lot of mission. Damn, health, mission. Okay, health. Okay, let's keep it going. What else? What else? Let's go. Let's go. I'm just curious. The highest arena, family and spirit. Okay. Mission, mission. Love that. Crazy. Okay. Mission, finance. Okay. What was your lowest? What was your lowest? Hobby, hobby, hobby. Yeah. Yeah. Finances, finances, hobby, 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 mission, finances. Okay. Okay. Hobby, finances, social circle. Okay. Who here got a little bit more clarity just without even doing anything? That you're like, oh shit, like this area is, I'm fully neglected. Who here felt a little bit of gratitude in the moment that you're like, yo, I'm actually doing pretty good here? Anyone? Drop a one. If you got a little bit of like, oh, I got a little bit of click. I got a little bit of clarity. I got a little, look at that. These ones flying off the roof. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is called seeking clarity. And these are ongoing things. And I'll talk about how you can implement the practices and everything that you need ongoing from today so we don't leave you high and hanging. Okay. So when you look at that, okay, so now you're like, okay, I got these arenas. Why I'm talking about this is the misconception that messes people up that messes people up when they're trying to create goals is someone here tell me just a goal that they had in the past. It could be a current thing. It could be an active thing. So someone just drop it in the chat. Just drop a couple in the chat. Hit 10K, hit 10K, drop out of high school, make 30K, okay, speak well, hit 10K, 1 mil take home a year, find God, 4-hour work week, 30K MRR by March, okay, 10K, 10K invested money, quit my day job, amazing. Join an NASA's inner circle, hey, let's go. Providing my parents' sales work, CPA after grad, 30K a month, beautiful, okay, love that. So here's the crazy thing. None of those, okay, most of those are not goals. And that's why I was like, we need to debunk some things and get clarity. The only reason I use the word goals, because it's just easy to market and people understand, okay? But the reality is, okay, we have to create the differentiator because we have to learn what actually drives. So we have, at the top of your paper, you could just write ambition, okay? And beside ambition, I'll just give you different words that you could think about it. You have ambition, aspiration, desire, more or less they mean the same thing, but it's just to help someone. It's this ongoing motivation for this thing, but it isn't an ambition, isn't something that you achieve. So if I say, I want to get rich, that is an ambition. Y'all follow? If I say, I want to get healthy or I want to get shredded, I'm sure someone here said, I want to get shredded, I want to get yoked, I want to get XYZ. Those are ambitions. They're to be happy, right? Those are just desires, okay? So they're not it's not this like, here's this thing and I can achieve it and I could do it and I'm going to work on it and everything is amazing, okay? These are ambitions. And there's a reason why, because when you think about an ambition, it doesn't, when you're like, oh, why am I not motivated? Why am I not this? Is because you're missing the other layers to actually make it a thing. And I'll give you a breakdown of what are our ambitions, what are our desires, what are our aspirations, what are ongoing life things, because we have broken down to 5 human desires. We have 5 drivers, 5 things that drive us all, however you want to look at it. Okay, they will fall into these buckets. Everyone has different, emphasis towards which ones drive them, but it's really important to start up front to understand, okay, these are the human drives that are pushing me, okay? And the framework for it is magic. And we'll break down what the magic is, what it means. So if you want to write down on your paper, okay, in the human drives, because my camera ain't going to zoom pretty well. There we go, okay? Magic. We have to start understanding what are the things that are actually driving us. And the reason why I'm starting with the ambition before we get into what some people call as goals is that the thing below the ambitions, the desires, the aspirations, I'll break it down in just a second, is we then start to be like, okay, I now have this thing. The next thing is really a result, an outcome. I think I saw one person here, they said 30K by March 31st. Okay, great. That's a result. You still can't hit a result. Did y'all agree? Like, if I said, hey, it's like, you can't go and do and achieve this thing right now in this moment. There's a series of a whole bunch of shit that has to happen in order for you to get this thing. So watch this, for example, before we break down the frameworks. If I said, I want to get shredded, okay? Or I want to feel alive. Y'all with me? Just pretend that's you. You're like, hey, I want to feel alive. If you're like, I want to feel alive, what do you have to do? Well, there's all these different buckets. You're like, okay, I have my nutrition, I have my rest, my recovery. Okay, then I have my workout, then I have my mobility, then I have my tension, my stress release, right? Now, underneath all those things, do y'all follow? Is there now not a bunch of sub activities and things that go through that? Right? Because under, let's say, rest and recovery, what's rest and recovery? I got to have some stretch routine for my hips. I got to do something for my back. I got to da, 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 da. So now you have all these different things. So in order for you to be like, okay, if you had those days where you're like, I feel lost, I feel unmotivated, I'm procrastinating, I'm like, oh, you're disconnected from the ambition. You're not clear on the results and the targets. You're not clear on the core results, the sub results that have to happen, and the actions and the behaviors and the things that are attributed to actually achieve you all of that. But when you break it in, for my guys who are logical, the love the science, the math will math, and you'll see the process all roll up. That'll start to make sense for you. Okay, I'm just trying to give you an overview, high conceptual thing before we get into what some call goal setting, because I care more about for you to have a vision for your life that actually inspires you, that actually pulls you through. Okay, so in the magic framework, okay, and this is just the simplest way to understand the human drives. Okay, the M stands. Y'all ready? What does the M stand for? Okay. The M stands for mission. And mission is a fancy way of saying we all want to have the sense of like, I'm on a mission. That's the simplest way I can explain it to you, right? You're like, I'm working towards something meaningful, something that excites me, something that I feel that I'm contributing, something that I feel like I'm expressing, that I'm creating, that I'm showing up authentically as me, that's challenging me, that is pushing me. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Am I crazy? The rooms are okay, right? You're like, I just want to be on a mission. And sometimes it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be your mission, right? Everyone's fixated, entrepreneur, my own self, whatever it doesn't have to be that this is my mission. Your mission could be like, we're going to go solve this problem. Hey, the business has this issue. The company that, okay, I'm on a mission to destroy all the gurus by giving everything away for free. There you go. That was a mission, right? That was Hermosi, if I'm not mistaken, okay, on his live launch. Or no, that was Joel Kaplan, my mistake. Okay. That's a mission. Okay, you're on a mission. But the thing is, the mission doesn't have to be these grandiose, huge, massive things. It could be parts within the day, the moments, all these things that you're like, hey, I'm actively on this mission. You guys know what I'm talking about? You had these days. Okay, let me give you an example. You had these days. You slept your 8 hours. You did everything perfect, and you woke up unmotivated. Who's here had that in the last year? You just felt uninspired. You did everything right. You felt uninspired. Okay. Who here on the inverse has had that moment? You literally slept like nothing. Like we're talking nothing. Hell, you may have stayed up the whole time, and you woke up and you were a dog. Like you were starved. You just saw a bone, and you're just like you're on it. You're on a mission. See, but the difference is unconditionally, okay, unknowingly, unintentionally, you generated these drives to be, I'm on a mission. You're not saying it, I'm on a mission. I'm trying to give you the magic framework so you have an understanding. You're like, oh, I'm on a mission right now. I'm working towards this thing. I'm trying to do this thing, okay? Because that mission is what's going to drive you, is what gives you that fuel. And that is part of our drive, okay? So one of the human drives is to have these missions. Okay. Sometimes I call them side quests. Okay. There's like these little missions. There's the big mission, the mission throughout their life. And you're trying to have this mission in a way that it has some meaning, some value, some significance to you. Okay. The second in the magic framework is, okay, and this is a universal human drive. Okay. You know what magic stands for. It's aliveness. Okay. And the reason why I want to spend a little bit more context on this one is aliveness is just this feeling of vibrancy, of this like, man, I feel so good. Right before this, I'm like, I'm putting on the music. We're doing the setup. My heart's beating. I'm excited. Right. There's like that nerve. I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. Like, look at who's excited to be here to kick off the freaking year. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. Look at these beautiful, incredible people. Okay. We got ascenders just committing out here. We got almost 50 people on right now doing the work. Okay. And you're like, I'm excited. I feel alive. I want to do this. Okay. You're like, think about this. Who's like, I want to travel. Who's like, someone's like, I want to be at the beach. I want to travel. Everyone here's had some variation of, I want to travel. What are you actually saying? Anything, please write this down. Anything I do in life is for the feeling I think I'll get. We as humans only do things for a feeling that we think we'll get. There is nothing on planet Earth that we do without thinking it gives us a feeling. When you eat that extra dessert, you're like, man, cheesecake, ice cream. You think there's a feeling at the other side. You feel good, you feel satisfied, or you attribute, you feel released. So you're like, I'm going to eat it. Okay. The aliveness for some people comes from like, I just want to feel, I feel alive when I have perfect routine, structure, like when you're like, my life is rigid and robotic, you feel alive from that. Okay. And the thing about aliveness is different for everyone because we're all different creatures. For example, I like variety in my life. Okay. Every like month or two, you'll see me, I'll change the setup. I'll change the view. Who here see me change the setup a whole bunch of time? Okay, if you've been with me long, it changes like every, you're like, is he a psycho? I'm like, maybe, I don't know. Okay, Goku's in the house now. Okay, so the purpose of it is I like some of that variety. I like the unknown. I like being like, I'm gonna go do this thing. I have no idea how it's gonna turn out. I like that challenge. I like that variability. I like that. I'm gonna go get punched in the face and let's see what happens. I like that first time I spoke on stage. I had no fucking idea what I was doing. Okay. I like that first time. Okay. That I'm like, I'm going to go and take on this massive contract that is way beyond my capabilities, that is way beyond my scope in something I'm not technically there yet. And I'm like, I'm going to put a 100K guarantee on that. I will guarantee you $100,000. Okay. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I like that because that puts me on mission. That makes me feel alive. I like that challenge. I like that punch me in the face. Like borderline till I'm broken. Okay. I like that. I like the variety. So for everyone here, you got to figure out what makes you feel alive. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be like, I need to tour Europe and France and Africa, right? The aliveness comes on a day-to-day. My beg and implore, if there's anything that you take from this whole masterclass, if it was one thing, is if you could just create some disciplined routine, activity, thing within your day that gives you a little bit of aliveness. They're like, man, you know what? For some of you, it might be like, I just sit and read this book. For you, it's getting a piff makes you feel alive. I love it, right? For you, maybe it's just like, oh, you know what? I feel alive when I just go for a walk, when I'm just at the gym by myself. Sometimes, dude, when I wake up and I don't feel like it, and I get my ass moving, and I go to the gym and I don't want to, I feel alive. That disciplined muscle makes me feel alive. Y'all follow? That let me pause and skip a beat, that makes me feel alive. That bit of change makes me feel alive. The challenge makes me feel alive. The exercise makes you feel alive. A great podcast makes you feel alive. Well, I don't listen to podcasts anymore, but you get the idea. Okay. So it's you're looking at it like, what is it for you? So the questions that I'm trying to get you to workshop is why I'm giving you a bit of this time is I want you to process. Because if everything we do in life is because we think it's going to give us a feeling, well, we got to start figuring out and defining what are these feelings that we're actually after. Because for all of you guys, some guru tells you online that you're a loser until you get to 10K, then you're okay at 30K. And then for whatever reason, it jumps and you go from 30 and you have to get 100K and then you're a sizable person. You're worth something. Okay. And then you think that once you hit X number, that somehow your life is going to change. As someone who's hit all of them and consistently grow, I'm just like, no, not like nothing changes. You are you take you with you. Okay. Your lifestyle elevates. You're like, cool. Okay. But you're still you. And you're like, fuck, I did all of this thinking I was going to get this thing. But you forgot the thing that made you alive was the mission. The thing that made you alive was all the stuff that you were doing in between. And sometimes we make the mistake of just doing the grind without being like, why am I doing this? How can I generate the feelings that I'm after? Y'all follow? Who here knows? You can have a day. You're like, oh, I have 4 calls on the calendar. Oh, shit, I have to do this. Yes? Someone's had that? If I don't see every hand, I know you're a liar. I'm kicking you out. Okay. So you're like, okay, I know I could beep and bemoan and dread the process. But on the same side, you could take the same day, same activity, same everything, and be like, man, oh, this is going to be good. Do you know why? Because you're like, man, this mundane task that I'm going to do today is going to help me get to this thing. And that, you know what? I'm growing into this type of person who challenges themselves. This is what I signed up for. This is what I asked God for. This is what I told my creator for. I wanted to push me. I wanted to challenge me. I want to do big things. I want to take care of my family. I want to help people around. I want to employ other people. I want to give back. I want to do all these things. And you're like, I want that. You signed up for that. And sometimes you get caught in the day and you're like, so, right? We've all been there. And we're like, oh, I don't want to do it. This sucks. But we forget, let's zoom out. There's this bigger thing that we're trying to work towards here. And we'll get to what this bigger thing is for you. Okay, because all of you is going to be different. And that's the beauty of it. We're all unique. But I want you to start thinking about, okay, part of your journals, because a lot of the work you're also going to do after this. And that's why I wanted to do this on a Friday after the weekend. I was initially going to do it on my birthday on Monday. I was like, it'll be great. But then they're going to have a work week and it's going to get like really messy. And I was like, okay, the Friday makes sense. I know this time works, but then it gives you the weekend to reflect and process. Okay, because for you, one of the questions I want you to ask, what can I do to feel more alive on a day-to-day? Not in a month, not in a year, not like, what could you do tomorrow to make you feel alive? For example, I love playing basketball. It lights my soul. Okay, it lights my soul. So I'm always looking, I'm like, where can I go do pick up basketball? Even when I travel, I'm in a different country. I'm like, who plays basketball? Who's got the group? Right? I'll cross you up. Okay, I look down, that's what I see. I'm like, okay, all right, man, bring it. Okay, I'm like, that makes me feel alive. Sometimes it's the bike ride. Sometimes it's the walk. Sometimes it's the song, right? Like, what is it for you? And you're like, how? There was something. Brendan said something once, and I was like, the way he said it, it hit me so hard like a ton of bricks, and hopefully hit someone here. He's like, did I touch a slice of heaven today? And I sat there and I was like, oh, why did that hit me so hard? Who here knows there's like a thing unique to you that you're like, man, I could touch a little piece of heaven today. You do this activity, you do this thing. Maybe it's a moment alone. You guys know what I'm talking about? Am I crazy here? I'm just curious. Like, show of hands, because I can only see a portion of the screen. Like, you know what I'm talking about? You're like, I could touch a little bit of heaven. But then you're always like, no, once I get here, once I do this, once I learn to love myself, once I achieve cajillion dollars, once I. But the once I never comes. And it comes back to like, well, how can I touch a little bit of slice of heaven? How can I feel a little bit of aliveness every single day? What is it for you? How do you bring it? How can you feel it? Okay. Because the G in the magic is, as you all know, and just if you are part of the Ascender's journey, if you are here, one of our core pillars is around the G. It's about growth. We all have an innate human desire to grow. And I'm going to give you a deeper insight into growth. Okay. It's a reality. You are either growing or you are dying. Or as I say, you're either ascending or you're descending. Because doing nothing or doing the same is descending. Because your mindset corrodes. You go slower. You go less engaged. You go less alive. And then 2 weeks, 6 months, you're like, what am I doing this for? I don't like this. Because you forgot all the things. You stopped growing. You stopped learning. You stopped challenging yourself. You stopped helping other people because that helps you grow. Okay. So in the growth, and then when people are like, I'm struggling with fulfillment, I'm struggling with joy. Let me simplify all of happiness. You don't even need to read the book. Let me simplify happiness, fulfillment, all of that in a simple thing, but happiness in particular, because happiness is a weird thing, especially with like men, like you guys. I know the women, like we know what we're doing, right? Happiness, just one word, progress. That's it. Progress. That's it. Just please hear progress. So part of your reflections, because we're going to talk about it, is every day I want you to be having this check-in of, am I progressing today? Or how can I progress today? The problem is, okay, so many of us don't reflect. We do like a New Year's resolution, maybe a Thanksgiving, like there's like a mid-holiday through the year. You like or you get punched in the face, or you have a business partner screw you, and you like reassess your life. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You have like a one slap to the face once, and then you like reassess once or twice or 3 times in the year. And throughout, you've done so much good stuff. If you think about last year, how many incredible things you did, how many incredible things you've overcome, how many incredible things you pushed through, how many times you didn't want to do it, how many times you felt weak, how many times you felt it, but you still did it. You still overcame it. Even if it didn't look or feel the same way, you did so many things. That's why you're here, right? You did so much good, but the default mind wants to go to the negative, the problem, the wrong. So what do? We focus on every single thing that's missing. Who here, if you could honestly drop a 1, if you had to think about it, a 1 is when you wake up, you're like, I got this problem. I got to fix this thing. I got to do this thing. And it's just like this like guilt to-do list of checklists of things that need to happen. 1. I'm counting 1. Okay, they're going faster than I can count them. I'm saying that to humanize it for everyone here. Y'all follow? Like if you guys get to, like one of the things I had to learn, okay, life is always going to be tough and chaotic and stressful. And you all know it gets simpler. You're going to make more money. You're going to grow. you're like, okay, maybe you delegate. Great. Now you have to deal with humans. You got to lead. More complexity. Like there's always going to be shit. That is the one thing that is guaranteed. It's going to be amazing and great, and boom, you're going to get slapped. There's some form of a winter. It could be a day, a week, a month, whatever. It's coming. Okay. So it's like in that, it's like, well, what helps you elevate your identity? What helps you feel alive is you have to integrate, right? Just integrate your wins, not in a monthly, not in a yearly. Most people are like, oh, how was last year? Like, it was good. Yeah, I made this money. You're like, okay, but like, what about you? You didn't honor any of the work that you did. So you know what you teach yourself? You're teaching yourself that you're not good enough, that no matter what you do, it's never good enough. Because who here arrived at the I'm good enough now? Anyone get to that I'm good enough now? Because you're always like, I'm missing, I'm lacking, I got to do this thing, I got to do that, right? Like it doesn't end. So I'm like, at some point, you got to be like, oh, shit. My light is on disco mode, okay, or like music mode. So every time I talk, the Gove, there's a big one up here, and it's just flashing to the music. And I was like, I might get a little epileptic here. I might have a seizure. So I had to just jump over and turn it because every time I speak up, it's like more light, and I'm like, this is wildly distracting. But so you gotta integrate, okay, the wins of what's going good. Okay. And in that, you'll see how much you grow throughout the year. Because do you know what happens? Do you know what happens when you reflect? And I'm talking 365-day reflection, when every day you have these reflection points and you're like, oh, and we'll talk about how you do that. And you're like, huh, I did this thing good, good. I messed up here. But then you catch all these mistakes. Okay. What I call the catch rate is you don't let yourself go into a lull because you're like, oh, you have a check-in with yourself every single day. And you're like, oh, I'm going backwards. This thing's not progressing. It's not moving the way I want. So you catch it and you reorient it. Okay. The I in magic, which I think is going to speak to the soul in an uncomfortable way for many people here. The I, we have this drive for importance. We have this drive. Think of importance as like as a man could say, I want to feel cool. I want to feel significant. I want to feel important. I want to feel like I'm worth something. And I'll explain to you how it shows up. We're going to get really advanced into this. Okay. Who here, when they meet someone, they say, oh, I make XYZ. Who here's done that you're like, or who here's met someone, maybe it's not you, you're like, oh, I run a 50K agency. I run a 200K agency. I do 100K a month. The first thing they talk about is my money. Why do you think someone says that? They're trying to tell you, I want importance. I want to feel important. They think, they're like, I've never felt important. So I'm going to seek it externally. And I need you, okay, to let you know that I'm important. Hey, by the way, guys, okay, I didn't come in here and be like, hey, guys, I made millions of dollars. Okay, because I have to catch that. Okay, my class, like the thing that I always have to fight for is like I'm like, there's the balance of good marketing, talking about money to brag, or sharing these wins, or this. It's such a tough balance because I'm like, is this the drive of feeling important? So there's nothing wrong with it, but is it the ego trying to be like, whoa, look at me? Sometimes you'll see when people create content, I've been caught in that trap. You're like, I'm not creating the content for me. You're trying to flex. You're trying to brag. You're trying to say, whoa, look at me. You're trying to say, please validate me so I feel more worthy. You don't think that, but we're driven. We all have this drive to feel importance. Okay. Now, a healthy and a great way to add to that importance, that significance, that validation, that thing that drives us, okay, it's not a bad thing, is, and I challenge every single person here to do, because I pray everyone here gets to have this gift for the people in their lives, is to learn to acknowledge people. I cannot tell you the amount of times, for me personally, and what I've seen infinitely, and for any single client that I've ever coached in my life, this is a single problem that I can't tell you a single person that I've met that is not caught into this trap. We as a society are so caught in our own shit and moving to the next thing, we fail to acknowledge others. You will get on a sales call with someone and they will be like, man, I did this thing. I overcame that thing. I worked through this thing. I overcame that. You're like, okay, cool. So like, what about this? Zero acknowledgement. Your friend does this thing. Zero acknowledgement. Okay. If you think about it, okay. I actually had a very dear person. I had the greatest birthday gift that I got in my entire life received on Monday. Okay. And I was just like sobbing. I was crying. It was so beautiful. It was so emotional. Maybe I'll share it with the group here. But in it, one of the things that was as I was experiencing it, part of what made the intensity is I acknowledged the effort that the individuals had to go to prep it. Okay, the gift is behind them. It's Goku. They painted me Goku. Okay, it was acknowledging the effort that someone did. Okay, so the magic of you feeling more importance, giving it to other people, experiencing it in your life is learning to acknowledge people's efforts. And that's as simple as, thank you for taking the time to prep this thing. Thank you for picking up this thing. Hey, I appreciate you checking in on me. Hey, good job. Acknowledge effort. Everyone writes that. Acknowledge effort. I'm teaching you also, if you're part of my elite program, one of the most things, I'll give you a little hint, of all persuasion, all of it starts from acknowledgement. You cannot persuade someone without acknowledgement. You will have such low levels. You acknowledge their efforts, their successes, their struggles, their wins, their progresses, their setbacks. You acknowledge all of it. And you have to teach your mind to catch it. I will warn you, there is one dark side to this. The more you practice acknowledging effort and other people's things, you will see how lack of acknowledgement exists out there. There is a bit of a trap in it. Like I had to deal with that, be like, I just got to come to peace with that, is you won't see it come back. And that's okay. Y'all tracking? It's a trap because you won't, once you do it, you can't unsee it. I'm just telling you that. But your soul will feel so alive and connected and throughout the process. Okay. Are you guys loving it? Is this too much? Am I geeking out? You with me? You're like, okay, keep going. Okay. The C, and these will all have relevance. Do you know why? Because when you get to your goals, your vision, your ambition, all of that, I don't want you to create a vision that is purely driven by importance. Because you're delusionally thought that if you hit X dollar, that you will be cool. Y'all know what I'm talking about? That you're like, if I hit this amount, I will now have self-worth. I will have love. I will have happiness. I'll have peace. I'll have that. I don't want you to just purely be driven by the lack and the deficiency in your life, which is fine. That's good. One of a driver that you can have is the deficiency. You're like, I'm lacking in this thing. You can use that energy to drive you. That's okay. But I don't want you to have that, because do you know what happens? If you only pull on deficiency and you only pull on that to get importance, do you know what happens? When you get out of deficiency, you flatline. For anyone here who's achieved their next level of success that is beyond what they thought was possible for them, know exactly the trap that I'm talking about. You're so like in lack and pain and struggle, then you start making money, you start progressing, you start having things coming good, and then you coast. And you're like, I don't know what happened. Because you were only driven by the importance and you were running using deficiency, the lack thereof that exists in your life to push. And it's not even a complacency, is you don't have anything pulling you. Right? What happens is when we're on the struggle bus, let's say, or in a place of lack or deficiency, it's fine. It's a push energy. You're like, I want to get out of this pain. I want to move away from this. I want to do all of that. But then when you get to the other side of it, you have nothing pulling you because there isn't a compelling vision. And that's what we're talking about here. You're like, how do I create this vision that helps pull me? And part of the vision, I'm giving you the hint before we get into it, is you have to think about, okay, this thing, what is the mission that I could be working towards at this stage in my life? What parts of it in my day-to-day, in the work, in the activity, in all of it that can help me generate some aliveness? That's from the workouts, from the connections. There's things in the business that will make you feel more alive, right? You're like, okay, how can I challenge myself to grow? I've seen this so many times. Some people, they're like, I've seen this the most in the agency space out of anything else. They like learn how to do fulfillment, very average. And then they're like, I'm just going to do sales. And then you just keep taking calls. And I'm like, so where are you growing? What are you improving? What are you working on? Like, I'm just numbers game, bro. Numbers game, bro. I was like, gotcha. Okay. Call me when you're done. Okay. And then everything just starts to go like this. Anyone been there? Maybe. Okay. You don't have to be in the, but it's like, you have to have that drive, that challenge to be like, I'm working towards this stuff. Okay. So when you look at the magic, okay, and you'll see that as we piece this in for yourself, you're like, okay, got it. So we have the magic, we got that. How do I piece this all together? Because what I initially told you is we have these ambitions, these aspirations. So the magic is this overarching driver that we all have. But do you notice it's not this tangible thing that you can go and just like get? It's an ongoing thing. I want to feel good. I want to look good. I want to feel connected. I want to be on purpose. I want to be on mission. Y'all with me? So then you have to start. That's what we're starting from here. You're like, okay, this is the magic. This is how I create the magic in it. Okay, I want this. If that is my human drive and I want this, we want to reverse engineer it in whatever vehicle that you're in, that you're like, how can I go and generate this? How can I go and do this? How can I go and bring this into my life? Are you guys tracking with me so far? Okay, I'm building up to help piece it together for you. Okay. And just remind me, drop a 1 if you're not a entrepreneur here. If you are not, I know there's like 100+ chats. I just want to see if you're not a entrepreneur currently, or maybe soon to be aspiring. If you are not, okay, 1, 2. Okay, about 5. Okay, I'm checking for the audience. I'm trying to understand how much catered to do this. Okay, so now that you're like, okay, I got the magic, I know what I'm looking for. Let's figure out how you start architecting stuff. Okay. And I cannot take credit for this because I'm not there yet. This is the same framework from a 9-figure entrepreneur, currently the world's #1 high performance coach, Brendan Burchard. If you follow him, if you know him, if you see this, sending him all the love for being the greatest mentor, coach, and inspiration in my life. One of the frameworks. So in his journey of building a 9-figure business and brand and coaching 4 billionaires right now, and being a global leader at what he does, he shared with us. And what was super helpful here is to understand, okay, this is the structure of everything you ever need to look at inside of a business. And following this, you will learn exactly what do I need to focus on? Where do I need to work? Where do I need to shift things? Okay. And in that, it's not about just like money, 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 money. It's about the money, the joy, the happiness, the fulfillment. It's about having the magic within the business. Because who here would love to have some magic in their business, in their sales journey? And this will still be applicable to you. You could, even if you're not in business. Okay. Everyone's like, I want the magic. I want the magic. Okay. So, I was going to draw it out on the iPad with you guys, but I think what I'm going to do, just to switch the game plan so I could go through it faster, okay, is I'm going to speak it visually, and I'll tell you what to write, and you can write it. And then in the email sequence, I will map it out so you can have a better visual. Is that helpful? Rather than you seeing me draw it out and kind of slow you down. Okay. So the first mistake in anyone who builds a business or gets into a business, and I'll tell you, the mistakes that you'll see is usually people are like, I'm not saying it's the wrong decision. They're either, they hit these numbers, they'll brag about it. They're like, I made 250, 500, blah, 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 blah. Okay, they'll do these things. And what they don't tell you is it wasn't profitable, it wasn't sustainable, or they did it for a month and then they crashed and burned. They did this, and the burn is so hard that they just eject mentally from business. Okay. And then usually they turn back and they tell you how to do the thing. But that's a different conversation. Okay. That was a joke. Come on. Just seeing if you guys are here. Okay. Hey, that's me. Okay. The problem with all of this is most of us get in this trap. I did too, of I built the business and then I try to build a life around it. Okay. When the reality is you need to build the life. So the first thing I want you to write down is lifestyle goals. Okay. So we're going to have 3 inputs that are going to go into this magical box. Okay. So I just want you to put lifestyle goals. And briefly, as I go through here, I want you to think about it. Like it's the most funnest exercise you can ever do. So one of the first exercises you're going to do after this call, okay, is start thinking about what are your lifestyle goals. And what I mean by that is not like, oh, I want to travel. Okay, cool. But like think deeper. Okay. If you are going to build your career, salesperson, et cetera, whatever you are, entrepreneur, my business owners. Okay. If you were going to structure it, how would you want your lifestyle to be when you have this aspirational thing that you built? The trap is building the thing and then trying to reverse engineer it. Y'all follow? And you're like, this is not what I want. Okay. When I was like 6-figure profit months and I'm building this thing and I'm doing it, and I'm like, money's great, but I'm like, it's not the lifestyle I want. Right. And then it was like, this sucks. And then you like, gotta like, it's a messy thing to revert to rework. So when we look at this year and planning it, and you're like, hey, how do I make this amazing? Is you have to think about what is your idealized lifestyle? Okay. So for some of you that you're like, hey man, I want to be in a place. I saw someone put 4-hour work week. Okay. 4-hour work week. Great. I would put a bullet through my head if I ever had that, but someone wants that. Great. That's good for them. That's the point. We're all different. Okay. So when you're like, okay, what does that look like? It could just be like, man, if I have my ideal life, it's like I want to have it where I have my mornings and they're open. Then I could go with my partner at these things. I can have that. Like for me, part of my lifestyle goals is I want to live in different regions because this year I'm moving to Dubai. So I'm like, okay, I want to be in Dubai for a portion. I have my months planned out. Where I'm going to be in the US. Parts of it in Canada, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm structuring the lifestyle. So guess what happens? So when I start to think about the lifestyle, how I want to live it and this, I'm like, okay, team has to change, organ has to change. Like there's a bunch of whole different things. And the time zones are messy, right? But it's when you look at it, you're like, how do you want your lifestyle to be? Right? There's the term in America, what's it called? Snowbirds. You know, they figure that out. So like, okay, I like to y'all know what a snowbird is? They just evict their home. They just bounce when it gets cold and they'll go somewhere, and it's usually Palm Springs, and it's older folks always. And they're like, I just want to golf. Okay. I don't know if that's where the term originated, but they're like, oh, I have my lifestyle. It looks like this. It looks like that. It looks like that. Right. But most of us, and I could be mistaken here, who took in the time to architect what their life, this is probably one of the most important things that I would pray that you get to do, because it gives you, watch this, the North Star of what you're trying to work towards. So in the mundane day to day, and you're like, I don't want to do this. You're like, oh yeah, but I'm trying to build this thing. The magic is I'm trying to get to this thing. Y'all follow? See, aspiration, desire, ambition. That's the lifestyle. This lifestyle goal. I'm trying to get to this thing. So then you reverse engineer. So when you're working on the day to day and you don't want to do it, it's very easy to push back and just dream. You're like, okay, that's what my life looks like. But we don't spend. And Raldi, amen. Every once in a while, I look at the chat. I signed up for this. You're like, that's what I'm trying to get to. You have as I'm saying this, I'm hoping you're just capturing little, like if you haven't gotten this habit, just download, especially when you're in the moment. It's different here. It's different when you're on your own. It's different. It'll come to you as you seek it. It's like, who here's already like, I had a couple of ideas that you're like, man, I want my life to look like this. Okay, yeah, I see a couple. Okay, just capture, what do I actually want? I'm not talking about lifestyle goals this month, right? If you're like in the time horizon, okay, you don't have to stress about the exact month and this. I'm just in the time horizon. What are you actively working towards? And I should have prefaced this up front, is it's okay. For some of you here, you're not going to know your exact roadmap. And that's the beautiful thing. I get so thrown off when someone's like, what's your 10-year goal? What's your 5-year goal? I'm like, bro, are you nuts? Are you nuts? What are you trying to sell me? What do you mean 5-year goal? Guys, who here 2 years ago could guess you would be exactly where you are? Look at all these heads go now. Who here could remotely guess the direction that you're at? A year ago, could you picture that you were here? How tough, even a year ago, that you're like, I didn't see it like this, right? So I'm like, if 2 years ago, now we got AI, we got all this rapid stuff, we got the deep fakes, that like there's so much, like the world is it's gonna change so fast. I'm like, if you think you're gonna be like, I'm gonna have this thing and it's gonna look like that, like you're not gonna know. Clarity, seeking clarity, it's not about certainty. Please divorce the idea that you will ever have 100% certainty. You won't. That's not the goal of this. Okay, the simplest way I can explain it is, what's a geographical area that someone knows? Okay. I was coaching a gentleman the other day, and I was like, they were trying to figure out where they're going to take the direction of their brand. And I was like, just think about this. I don't even remember where he was, but I said, you're in Texas. Okay. And they were in Texas. And I was like, if you're in Texas, and I said, I need you to go to Miami. Where is Miami? And he's like, south. That's all he said. I'm like, perfect. He's like, what? I'm like, perfect. I was like, your goal is to be like, I'm trying to go to Miami. Okay. I don't need to know it's these 7 roads and this. You're not going to know the exact. That's not the point. You're building that as you go towards. But you're like, I'm trying to go this direction. It's south. It's that. Okay. Some of you, because you're in transition, you're like, I'm on this offer. I'm in this niche. I'm in that thing. Great lifestyle you're trying to build. Because we're going to reverse engineer from that. Y'all with me so far? Okay. You're like, great. That's the lifestyle I'm going to build. Because the next thing, and this is the most important thing to get your soul alive and not burnt out and not bemoaning and not hating the thing that you are doing. Okay. And for my people that do not have your camera on, get your camera on, be engaged, be fully present. We're talking about your life. Teach yourself to challenge it. If you're talking in the middle of whatever, just get on camera, rust out a pen. Even if you look silly, just do the work. I don't care if you're eating, just be here. Okay. So the second one, okay, so you have lifestyle goals, then you have your creative contributions. One of the things that lights our souls is sometimes we get in this trap, especially from entrepreneurs. You're trying to do everything, and now you're just a task manager. You're in all these tasks. There's nothing that you do that is part of your creative spirit. Just process this. Everyone here has a different way, okay, of like, this is how I creatively express. Just process this. What do I mean by creatively express? Someone drop in the chat a way that you creatively express yourself. Your unique thing. You're like, man, this is, I have to do this thing and this thing, but like, this is my zone. I love when I play here. Someone drop something in the chat. Making ads on Canva. See, Colt, love that, Colt. Creating content and doing marketing. Beautiful. Okay. Playing piano. Love that. Okay. And guitar. So different. So we're just on the business side. I want you to just think on the business side. Okay. Your creative expression. Closing business up. Okay. So you start to look at, you're like, what's my creative expression? Everyone here, always and forever, we're all going to have shit we don't per se love to do. That doesn't go away. There's always the boring stuff. There's always the mundane stuff. That won't go away. That is not like, I'm just going to delegate till the cows come home. Okay. Until you get to Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey, and I'm sure that there's levels in between that you could like literally push off every single piece. Okay. For most of us, like there's always going to be stuff that you don't like, but it's not about, I only do this one thing, I creatively express and I do nothing else, but it's about being like, where's my creative piece? So you're not stuck in just firefighting, doing all this kind of stuff where you don't get to do the things that light your soul. Y'all follow? So one of the things, when I looked at it, I was like, for me, I was like, the balance, if you guys don't know, in the Ascender community, I was testing different things last year. Okay. We had 5 calls a week, role play, QA, high performance. Like we were doing a whole ton. And I was like, okay, is this overkill? Then we did like 3. Then the last little Q4, we were towards the end, and now it was like just 1. And I was like, okay, 1 is not enough. Because I was like, the community needs to engage more. They want to learn. They want to role play. They want to do that. I even gotten some personal feedback from some of you guys. And then for me, I was like, that's part of my creative expression. Do you guys understand? Even though I'm doing it for free, to serve, to show up, to love, because that's part of my mission. I'm like, turn selling into serving and help people ascend into who they were meant to be, to their fullest potential, so they can grow into the men and women they're supposed to be. Because when they do that, they get to make a bigger difference in the world. And I was like, if I could be a beacon, a guide in that, I'm like, my soul is lit. That's part of my creative expression. Okay. When I'm creating content, it's so funny when someone talks to me, hey, let me help you monetize. They're always like, monetize your content, monetize your content. I'm like, dude, you don't even know me. I actually don't care. Like it's part of it, but I'm like, that's not why I'm doing it. That's not why I'm going hard on YouTube this year. That's not why. Like, sure, the money and the blah, blah, but I'm like, but I want to help people. That's my creative expression. Okay. I'm like part of my Q1. So let me explain to you guys. So when I look at Q1, I'm like, okay, y'all had to sign in through an email, and I made a double opt-in. I made it very difficult for you to get the link. I did that on purpose. Okay. Because part of my Q1 initiatives, I was like, when I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, email marketing, this, that. I want to do more of the copy. I want to do this. I'm like, it's a way for me to creatively express in the email because I want to talk to you personally. So when I write that email, I'm thinking about you. I'm like, that's part of it. So I'm building it in. It's good for the business. I'm building it in. Okay. So you got to figure out what those are. The third piece, okay, and this gets forgotten, is your customer outcomes, your customer journey. You all service someone. At some capacity, you service someone. So you have to go and think through, what is the customer journey? Okay, so you're like, what meaning? Okay, I collect payment for someone. What's the customer journey? Okay, when you think customer journey, it's not like, okay, they get this email, they get this. It's not about that. It's, okay, what is this person, what are we trying to get them to experience? What are we trying to get them to feel? Okay. What is it that we're hoping? they would experience from their journey with us. It doesn't matter what you sell. There is a customer journey that you have to intentionally think through. Okay. So if I tell you, for me, when I think about the ascenders, I'm like, okay, what are some of the customer journeys? What are the customer things that I'm thinking about? I'm like, okay, I want them to have social connection. I want them to have a tribe outside. I want the community to be independent of me. I want them to be like, this is a family. Who here feels that you're like, man, I love this group, whatever this is? You're like, man, something about it, the energy, the vibe, you sense in the movement. I'm like, I want that for you. I'm like, me, I love that. Thank you. The one guy that dropped it in the chat, Iraldi, my guy. Okay, I'm kidding. I know. I see y'all putting the hands up. Okay. So I'm like, great. Then it's like, okay, help them with the sales. I want to help them get into epic health. How do we get to epic health? Okay, it's the high performance. How do we help them with the mindset? I'm like, my big thing, one of my biggest drivers for this year that I'm going to be hyper focused on is helping you become an even better role model for everyone around you. Because when you level up, when you attribute good behaviors, when you have more love, when you have more grace, when you have more resilience, discipline, all of that, you impact everyone around you. And that's how you make the world a better place. So I'm like, you get to double down. So I'm like, okay, how do I help someone be a role model? Of course, I have to role model the way, but I'm like, what are some of the things? So I'm like, okay, I have to add more leadership, coaching, and teaching into the public group outside of just what I do with elite in the private, right? So it's like thinking through these things. What are your customer journeys? Okay. And I'll give you some examples because I know there's a bunch of agency owners here and watching this. I had a crazy question. Someone's like, Anas, I had a client. It's been 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. It was the holidays. It was this, and they want to pause the services because they haven't seen the results and they haven't called their leads. I'm like, how did you let the person get to 3 weeks without calling their leads? How did you let the person get to 1 week without calling their leads? I'm like, you're disconnected from the customer outcome. For my guys, if you sell marketing, you don't sell marketing. You sell accountability, coaching, okay? You sell sales, you sell marketing, and you sell jobs. Please understand that. Your customer outcome is not, here's some leads, God be with you. Who here knows, for my marketers, or if you're not even in it, you know, if you got these people, leads, they ain't gonna do shit. Put your hands up. They're not gonna win with your service. Okay, cool. Like almost literally every hand went up. If you know they're not gonna win, whose problem is it? They're gonna say, you suck. They always will. They're never gonna be like, well, you know, probably if I was just on these leads like a dog, it's like, they're always going to say you. So I'm like, your job is to be like, okay, what are my customer outcomes? 9-figure blueprint, lifestyle goals. Okay. What do I want my idealized life to look like so I know what I'm working towards? Okay. What is my creative contribution, my creative expression? How do I build more into that? How do I build more into that? Okay. How do I go? Okay. And because some of you, who here knows what I'm talking about? You got so caught into the weeds, you stopped doing the things that creatively expressed. Can you drop a 1 if you got caught into that at some point in the last 2 years? 1, 1, 1, 1. Beautiful. And then you're like, why am I not feeling alive? Why am I not feeling the magic of life? Because we lost our creative expression. And do you know what's crazy? The mind just stops ideating. The juices stop. It's a muscle. If you don't use it, it fades. Okay. So now you have these 3 inputs that go into, if you want to just put a big box, just think about this. On one side, and this is what we are taught, you have sales and then you have systems. And I'm going to put some stuff underneath. Okay. When you think in sales and systems, most people are like, sales, focus on sales, marketing, this, build that, do that, blah, blah, blah. Right? And then other people who are my systems guys. I already know some of you. Who are my systems guys? They're all like just always tinkering with the systems. I see a 1. Okay, boring. See, who are my look at that drop a 1 if you are like my systems guy or gal, and drop a 2 if you are the sales. You're like, man, I just sales. Dude, look at that. Look at that crazy spread. Look at that crazy spread. Okay. So when you look at that, you're like, well, the business isn't this or that. Right? It's not just this or that. It's the mix of it. So when we look at sales, you have 2 things under sales. Okay. You have the product. Okay. And I'm gonna beat this cow till the day comes home. I'm going to beat this till the cows come home. I don't even know where that saying comes from. Did people say that? Is that a thing? Cows come home till the cows come home? No, I've always had someone say it to me when I was younger. So I should probably question it. Okay. You beat the cat. I'm going to beat this till the cows come home. I don't know. The cows leave. Is that, I don't know. They run. Maybe they're
I
also
think it's, I'm
caged.
gonna beat this point until the cows come home, is I think what it is.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. Okay. So when you look at it, it's like, thank you, David. So you're like, okay, sales, product. You have to always and forever, ongoing. There is no end destination. Always looking, how do I make my product even better? It's so easy to get into the trap of good enough. And all of this is leading because a lot of my business guys and sales guys, okay, if you're like, and ask, what's my product? I'm like, you are the product. Oh, crazy concept. How do I make me the product better? Okay. And you're always constantly looking at how do you improve the product? Because the product, okay, who here knows right now? Show of hands. If you're like, I know I can make my product so much better. Show of hands. Okay, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at these incredible people. Look at that. 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 Okay. A one. So everyone here is like, I know I can make my product better. So you're like, let me make my marketing and my sales and everything so much harder by not making my product better. Right? You're like, if you obsess about the product, it forces you to be creative. It forces you to get help. It makes your client results better. It makes every piece of the business, the engine, right? The sales engine work infinitely better. Your conviction, guys, all sales is, okay? If you've been around me long enough, you know, all sales is two things. It's a transfer of emotions. And those emotions are certainty and energy. That is it. That is all you're doing in selling. You're transferring conviction. I have no issue ever charging whatever I charge to my clients because I have unwavering conviction that I will over deliver under results, no matter what it takes. And I'm constantly going to do everything I can to make the product better. And I will always back it up with a 45-day full money back guarantee. It's how I've rolled. Since I got into business, I'm like, 45 days, I don't give a shit. I will die. And if I ever fail someone, I don't deserve their money. Okay. And I'm always like, how do I make the product better? How do I make the product better? Okay. So for everyone here, I hope that as you look at your 2025 and you're like, how am I going to plan this? Because when you look at planning all of this is how do you make your product better? Even if you're not in the vehicle that you're like, this is it forever, is building the muscle and the skill and the discipline and all of that. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. How you do anything is how you do everything. Meaning, if you half-ass and don't look at the ugly child over here, you're going to do that elsewhere in your life. So you're like, okay, 9-figure blueprint, sales, product. The second piece, okay, you got to look at, and as I'm saying that, you got to put questions for you. What can I do to improve my product? You should list 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things right now. Everyone here should already know that. And here's the catch. Maybe I need to say this to someone here, is it's not about doing more things. It's so crazy the amount of times, or sometimes I have to strangle one of my clients. It's like, Anas, I'm going to do low ticket. Then I'm like, show me the product. Why are you adding this other degree of complexity when the product is not world-class? Okay. My struggle in business was scaling my B2B division. And I'm like, super profitable, wild, huge, amazing. Okay. And then I'm scaling my B2C. And I'm like, if I keep both right now running, I will not do both world-class. And I had to make that decision. Then I'm like, let me scale this down so I can amp this up. And let me say no to every other thing. The amount of opportunities and money and doors and crazy. I had one client, one prospect, reach out. They're like, hey, and ask, we know you're expensive. We know you this. We just got 100 grand to wire you just to start as a deposit. And then we'll work out the plan, the retainer through after. And I was like, okay, cool. No, thank you. Okay. Another client, 4 hours. They would just need 4 hours a month, 15 grand. No, because I'm like, that is attention going to here that is taking me away from making this world-class. My only focus this year, elite, ascenders. Ascenders elite, ascenders tribe. Ascenders elite, ascenders tribe. There's inner circle, but I'm not putting any energy. Okay? Elite. Elite is the private clients. Okay? Ascenders tribe is the public community. That is it. All you will see me all year Even when I go to stage, when I go on stage, when I do anything, it's always going to be supporting that. If someone comes with a request, if it does not fit in this mold, support that. Thank you. Appreciate you. We'll talk next year. Y'all follow? That is it. But who here's caught in this trap that you're like, I'm here, and rather than squeezing my head to make my main thing, the main thing, and make it even better and way more class. And if you heard me say Sappho, serve at the highest level, how do I over deliver and serve at such an ungodly level that people feel insane, that they're like, is this even real? Is this like, how is this possible? And you're like, who here has caught in the trap that rather than doing this, you did the thing where you tinkered with the other stuff. You're like, let me, the world is so big and vast. Let me play with Goku a little bit. Who here has done that in the last year? Drop a 1 if you've done that, just to humanize. Hit a 1. That's what you see, how many ones go in here so you don't feel crazy. Look at the chat blow up. Sometimes you're in an offer, and rather than getting better or helping it, you're like, no, on to the next, on to the, and that's a tough battle of when you should jump an offer. But sometimes it's always just next thing, more. It's like, that's why the thing doesn't live. You're like, you got to go back. Okay, what's the lifestyle I'm building into? How can I creatively express in this? How can I make this fun? What's the, oh, wait, what are the customer outcomes I'm doing? Great. What am I trying to build my customer? What do I want them to feel? What do I want them to experience? What do I want them to say about me? If you don't know what to do, one of the things that helped me get good in sales so long ago was, one of the things is when I used to end an interaction, I used to pretend that that person was going to talk to their partner, their significant other, and I would always role play in my mind, what would they say about me? I always played that in my mind. I'm like, oh, they would say this. They're like, oh, he was so loving. He was so patient. He was so good. And I would always hear, he wasn't like the other guys. Oh, I really liked him. I'm like, great, dude. And I'll play that. And when I couldn't play that after an interaction, I was like, what did I do? Let me autopsy that. Right? So when you're like, what is it? Think of your customer outcomes. What do you want your customers to say about you? Simple way. And you got to think about, how do I reverse engineer? So when you're looking at your products and you're looking at it, you're like, okay, great. What do I need to build and tweak and do this to satisfy those customer outcomes? Okay. Then you look at under sales, you only have 2 things you ever have to worry about: products, and the simplest thing is campaigns. Okay. And the campaigns, they're always going to bleed into 2 things. Okay. And the tougher part to eventually look to work on is, how do you build an evergreen campaign? Okay. So for me, I don't have an evergreen right now. That's a focus for this year. My evergreen used to be my webinars. Right. But then I was like, but then they would have a lifetime. I would literally run a webinar. I was running a webinar every single week. Ads are running, run the webinar, do it. And then you eventually automate it. And then you just push traffic. All you do is you push traffic, all the automations kick, boom. That is it. Okay. Evergreen means, okay, for example, right now, if you guys haven't noticed, intentionally, and no one says, I did not drop the year that we're talking about. Do you know why? Because guess what? If I do not mention the year, what happens to the content? Notice what I'm referencing. This year, last year. See, no one picked up on that, because I had to have the intention to be like, I got to make this evergreen. Okay. So it can still serve. So I'm like, evergreen means it can run the test of time and still be relevant. Do you guys follow? Great books. Like if you ever study, let's say Russell Brunson. Okay. If you go look at his books, Traffic Secrets, Expert Secrets, any of those, they're evergreen books. They will last the test of time, because he doesn't go into the, here's how you, like, who here's seen Facebook ads change a bajillion times? And you're like, it's not even, what is it anymore? Okay. And they add this and they tweak that. The numbers change, the metrics change, the ad remove. Instagram, for any of my creators. Okay. It like, you can't imagine you created a thing very specific about it. Eventually you're going to become obsolete. So evergreen, when you're running campaigns, you're like, how do I have this thing that constantly runs in the background that I'm always pushing traffic to? Always pushing traffic to it. Okay. Always pushing traffic to it. And it sells on its own. You get it to sell on your own, you're in heaven. Okay. So for some people, that is technically a low ticket funnel eventually. Okay. But I knew James was just going to say low ticket. I had to tease that for you. Okay. But the evergreen, right? If you think about it, the ongoing is, for a lot of us, when we're marketing, you're creating ads, new creative, new things, and you do an offer, sell transaction. But there isn't a thing that you can constantly push traffic to that sells. That could be a course. That could be, and it's not about going to do that, but it's about knowing that you're trying to get your campaigns, that there's the, James just busted out the stripe. I love that. Okay. It's about, stuff that always runs in the back. Is everyone clear on that? So like, okay, what is that? And then what is my initiatives to have the live things that I'm doing? Okay. So what you guys will see, for instance, is part of the live campaigns that will happen is I will run ads because part of the initiative is to grow the community. So you guys know the hundreds of members that are in here, not a single ad was run to them, not a single piece of actual promotion, really with any intention, anything to grow the community. But you know what's crazy? We hundreds of members join. Guess why? I focused on the products. Okay. Because I'm like, how do I make this better? I'm like, let me pour, let me serve. You guys saw, I don't know if you guys know, just the organic lift. And I was like, huh, interesting. If I engage less, the community engages less. So I'm like learning things. I'm like, great. But I'm like, hundreds of people are joining. You are proud, hopefully, to refer a friend because you got value. Because that's the brand. You're like, hey, you get value. There's goodness. There's great people. And that's why I still kick, ban, remove people all day, every day. Literally, it's like almost every other day. Okay. And the point of it is it grew organic. So I'm like, great. So now part of my live campaigns is going to be ads and things and be promoting things. There's going to be live events. I think right now they're going to happen every third week of the month. There's going to be different things. I'm going to push people and I'm going to push everything, these new campaigns. One day it'll be an objection handling masterclass, all these different things. And I'll push people into the school, into the community. Okay. And by school, I just mean the community. Okay. See, damn it. See, now I mentioned the platform. See, I messed that up. Do you see what just happened there? I'm taking away the evergreenness. But I already said it. Maybe I'll just edit this part out. I'm just messing with you. Okay. But that's the point. It's thinking about how you make something evergreen. And that's why you want to avoid saying the dates, the years. You don't want to mention politics. You don't want to go and be like, hey, there was this thing happened. Do you see the fires here? Do you see this or this elect? You want to avoid all these things because then you can make your content timeless and still have relevance. Y'all with me? Are you guys geeking out? You're like, hey, man, your brains are juicing. Things are moving. Okay, Joseph's eating the bite. I'm like, okay, great. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay. So now you're like, okay, I got sales. So product campaigns. Because those days, those weeks when you get lost, as we'll leave you exercises towards the end of this of like, okay, what do I do and how you architect all of this? You're like, I know my inputs. You're going to build all of that out. You're going to build all these things. You not need to do all these things at the same time. You understand me? Like, okay, Q1, who here could easily right now, because I'll tell you the next piece. So you got sales. The next piece is system. Okay. When you think about system, there are two things that only matter is process and automation. That is it. You got your processes and your automations. And I'm going to tell you one of the biggest breakthroughs that you someone here might get the biggest click is you have to look at something and be like, do we have a process for this? Or do we just have effort? Is there a process or is it just effort? My mistake for earlier on in my journey and ongoing was I came from, I'm just a hard, like I've been in sales for so long in door-to-door and B2B over the phones and high ticket, remote, in person, so many different dynamics. And I've done it like hundreds of thousands of cold calls and knocks and interactions and thousands of sales. Okay. And in that process, and I remember my breakthrough came, one of my really close friends, he goes early on in my journey, he goes, yeah, Nas, yeah, it's just, he's like, cause you're a hustler. I was like, fudge. And I got cheesed because the problem was my solution to everything was just more effort. Do you guys understand? I would just put more activity, more effort. Because as a salesperson, you just do more. But there
Anas, do you
wasn't.
mind if I have to ask a question?
Yes, sir.
How do you balance systemizing and being more efficient with also like not getting lazy? Because that's something I find like I'll get too focused on just more effort, more inputs, and then I'll be in another phase where I'm too focused on efficiency. And I feel like I'm not doing as many inputs. How do you kind of balance that?
Really great question. Okay. So for everyone here, very simple. Okay. RGAs, revenue generating activities, do those things outside of times that you could do RGAs. For example, everyone here, whatever time zone, offer, company, city, continent, whatever you're in, there's a finite time that you can generate revenue. Yes? Okay. Go do the other shit outside of that. Okay. Revenue first, then go fix the processes. Then you have your weekends. Then you have some evenings. Then you have also being like, okay, hey, on Thursday, my calendar's blocked off from morning till 1 o'clock. No calls, no team, no this, right? And all you're going to do is go fix your process. So the catch is, David, is bring back deep work. But that deep work has to be super intentional of like, I'm just focused on this thing for this period. And you're not trying to just create these random reoccurring blocks. It's intentional. It's planned. You're like, hey, I'm doing this for this specific person. And I'm really big on there are right activities, but there are wrong times. Right? Because it's very easy to be like, hey, for my systems guys, it's very easy for you to geek out on systems. And, from 1 till 5, you're working on systems when you should be talking to clients, when you should be outbound, when you should be prospecting. For some people, I've seen it. They're like, you're sitting on leads and you're tinkering with some shit right now. Anyone do that? I'm like, you got people to help. Go call them. Go call them. Go creating a new JHL automation at 2 p.m. just to not villainize Willem. Who here has done that before? You're like, I have to build this automation. It's very important and detrimental for the business right now that if I do not do in this exact moment, everything will break. Okay. I'm just like, ship the damn thing, roll with it. Okay. And it's okay. Break it and fix it. Guys, email marketing. Okay. I was like, so systems, processes, automation. So for me, and I'll give you guys a hack in all of this. The simplest thing I could ever tell you is always look for best practices. Always look for best practices. Don't go try to reinvent stuff. Okay. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm going to go huge on YouTube brand. I was like, who's the absolute best in the industry? Okay. So I looked at the best, some of the best. Davey's going to jump in here. He's going to tell you go with Lyndon. If you guys want to go help with YouTube, go for Lyndon. Talk to David. Okay, great. All right. You're welcome, David. All right. So you're like, hey, I'm going to go look for best practice. And I go find them and I go connect and I go meet with the sales team. Okay. I wanted paid media. So I was like, who's the best? Found the best. Let's meet. Let's talk business. Okay. Then I was like, automations. There were certain things. Found the best. Okay. The automations one couldn't work with the individual, bought their courses. Then I'm like, all right, study by myself. I'm studying and building it. Okay. I was like, hey, email marketing is a thing. I was like, let me build this shit. Guys, you probably got the emails from me. I don't know if they had typos, broken buttons, things. I did my tests. I did my dues. I didn't give a shit. Okay. I was like, just go, ship it, send it, go, act. Y'all follow? I was like, let that shit break. I was like, I'm going to make it difficult for you to sign up. Okay. Y'all have to double opt in. I was like, let me make sure deliverability is good. Open rates are good. It's clean. I made it very difficult for you to sign up. But I'm like, great. We're here. Everyone got the emails? It worked. I was like, great. I don't care. There was a typo. I was like, just build it, move on. Okay. I'll go tinker with it on offline time when it's not going to cost me money or send it. I can go tinker with that shit on the weekend. Yes. So I was like, don't go do the main things at the wrong times. So it's about creating that balance of doing it in a space that you're like, hey, I'm going to work on the things outside the revenue generating activities. Okay. And the processes that you should always be looking at for everyone here is it's not just like, okay, what does he mean by the processes? You got to look at the processes of you have people that you're going to have to work with. Okay. So in the sense of when you're like, okay, what process am I doing? How am I interacting with the customer? The process for marketing, the process for acquiring a customer, right? So it's the process of creation, the process of management, the process of how you're executing, the process of like what is happening with the customer. And you're looking at things and you're like, how do we systemize it? So it's not just effort. And if you're ever in doubt, is this a process or not? Just think of it this way. This is the simplest thing. Okay. This happens internally for us at Ascenders HQ. Okay. I'm always like, okay, if I just brought on a brand new person and I said, go do this thing, is there a process that they can follow? If there isn't, then we just have effort. Then we just have random guessing. When we're initial in something and we have no fucking idea what we're doing, I'm like, just create. We're going to test a whole bunch of shit, right? I do that a lot. We're like, we don't have the process figured out. Everyone here create. You're all here. Your only job is to create. And literally for people, I'm like, you're not allowed to copy the other person. Create. We won't even show you what they're doing. Figure out your own way. Do you guys follow? And then once we like, okay, this is it. This makes sense. This is good. Great. This is now an SOP, standard operating procedure. Very simple. When I was in corporate, I hated that shit. And I understood it when I got into business. I was like, oh yeah, you got to systemize the stuff because all a business is a series of processes that work together to give you the desired outcome. That is it. It's processes from creation to management to all of that. And now between your sales between your systems, all you have encompassing that whole thing is team. Okay. And at some point in time, some of you are going to have few members, some of you are going to have a ton, some of you are going to have none. Okay. The balance is, when do you get team? And if you're like, hey, Anas, I don't have a business, great. Team is your comrades, is your fellow ascenders, is your peer that supports you, that challenge you, that make your life easier. And if you're like, Anas, when should I get team? The simplest thing is, you should get team when you are genuinely maxed out on your time on activities that you should not be doing. Most people hire prematurely. They're like, hey, I'm going to get all this time back. Okay. But you have to do something more productive with the time you get back, or you were ineffective. You can't just, hey, I'm going to buy back my time and then do nothing. Y'all follow? The biggest mistake I always see, I'm going to hire a bunch of these setters. I'm going to hire this process system. I'm going to hire this. They get all this time back and they're paying money, and then they do nothing with the time. I'm like, the only reason you are buying back your time is because you're like, I'm stretched. I'm pumping all my time into all these things. And these ones, I don't need to be the one to do it. So I'm going to buy back my time by plugging in this person so I could go do a higher leverage activity. And that higher leverage thing is going to be to fix a bigger problem or to go get new revenue. That is it. Right? So it's this balance. If you're like, well, if you're stretched and you're doing all these things and they're mundane tasks and you probably shouldn't do them, your time value should be, your value to the value of your time should be worth more to you than you doing those activities. And the only way the ROI makes sense is you go and buy it to the time back to go do something more meaningful. Even for my sales guys, if you're stuck scraping leads and it does not need skill, where you're doing this mundane thing and you can calculate your math, it probably makes sense for you to go pay someone to go do that mundane stuff if it means you will be on the phones long. Y'all tracking? So you're like, okay, if I get that balance, I get that thing. Okay. You're like, I gotta do that so I can get more freedom, so I can do the things more important. Okay. So my big question is, as you have all these inputs, you're like, I got this. I got the lifestyle. I got the creative expression, right? Like my creative contribution. I got my customer outcome, sales, automations. I got all of that. Okay. $3 per life. Talk to Colton. He'll help you. Post in the group. How do I hire? How do I do that? There's a post in the group. I literally told someone my SOP that took me hundreds of hours to freaking figure out where to hire, how to hire. Go find it in the post. Okay. Just search hire. You'll go find it. Okay. But you're like, hey, if I'm doing all of this, what is the output that I come from? There's only two things you get at the end of this. If you look at this equation, you're like, I input these things, I work on the sales and processes. At the end, you get your brand and your market value. Okay. And your brand is the single most important thing that you can have in the business. It is your only thing on planet Earth that has the ability to influence someone before you ever meet them. That is it. It's the only thing that'll influence someone. It's the only thing. It's the perception of the market value. That is all you're doing all of this to have those two things, is the brand and the market value. Okay. So as we share all of that, the reason why we're talking about them getting you to process is, as we go a layer deeper in here, is part of the process that you're trying to think about for my business, my sales, my people, all of that is, you're like, okay, I have all these buckets. Who here knows, as we went through these buckets, some are seriously hurting more than others? Everyone here can be like, okay. And you're like, oh, I need to go figure that one out and reverse engineer. Because part of this is you can't go do all this stuff right away. So what you have to think about is, when you look at your year, you're like, okay, I have 12 months. Okay. And I tell you this, it's harder upfront to be like, I'm going to know exactly my 12-year goal. That's why I'm like, if you can plan 30 days, you're in heaven. You can plan a quarter, like A+. I'm big of the world is so changing. We're all so dynamic. We're all learning and growing and moving at so many different things that I'm like, it's kind of harder to be like, I know exactly what I'm trying to do for a year, and you feel dumb because you can't figure it out. Anyone? You're like, it's a daunting thing. You're like, how the hell am I supposed to plan out the year? And I'm like, well, like you're trying to plan out direction. You're in Texas. You're like, let me go to Miami South. Great. That's the year. South. And then we're like, okay, let's focus on the quarters. So when you start to look at and you start to boil it down, you're like, okay, got it. So the magic in life, I'm like, I'm trying to work towards these things. The business, the process, the inputs, all of that. You're like, okay, cool. I'm trying to get to these things. So, okay, so where does this like goal piece of it? Then what you look at is you start to narrow down. If you guys picture a funnel, you're like, okay, I got a funnel. You can then look at Q1. So right now, when you look at Q1, you're like, what do you want Q1 to be about? Not Q2, not Q3, not the bajillion dollars at the end of the year. What do you want the next more or less 90 days to be about? And let me explain to you, because I'm just going to play a little bit of music. I want you to just to get you a little bit workshop thinking here for a moment. Okay. And I want you to think about, what do I want Q1 to be about? Because the latter piece, where we're going to go into here for the last part, is more clarity on the goals, the things that we're actually working towards. But the most important and the number one shift that you have to do that will stop you from self-sabotage. And I'll give you a hint. It's about identity. Okay. So I'm going to play some music, and I just want you to think about, what is Q1 meant to be about? Okay. If you looked at it from the business sense, you're like, man, I got to work. Maybe Q1, if all I did Q1 was I improved the product, I got these things done, I got these campaigns, I worked a little bit towards this lifestyle goal, or I got these processes in place, or I got this thing figured out, I made this much money, I did that. If you're in debt, you're like, hey, I got $10,000 in debt. Man, if I could get it to $0 and I have my first $1,000 saved, that's amazing. If you're not on an offer, you're like, hey, if I'm on an offer making this, great. If your business is at 10K and you're trying to get to, like, just what is Q1 going to be about? Okay. And here's the catch. Q1 could be about your skills, could be about your money, could be about the things you change. It could be about, hey, I'm in this vehicle and it's now generating, or I'm at this level, I'm going to this next level, I'm doing this thing. And it's just thinking about, I'm moving a little bit towards this. And I don't know what it is for you. That's why I'm keeping it open, because everyone's at a different stage. Because the game of this is you're trying to be like, okay, who here can mentally, arbitrarily be like, I can make sense of 90 days. Like, it's not super overwhelming to think about 90 days. If I told you 12 months, who here gets intimidated? Good. We're like, man, 12 months is freaking intimidating. I'm like, great. Let's go a quarter. Q1. Okay. So I'm just going to give you a couple minutes. Just process. I'm going to play some music. Is this too much? Are you guys with me? I'm like, are we here? We tracking? You guys vibing? You guys got, can I get an amen on a Friday? Let's go, baby. Let's go. Okay. Get each a little copyright-free music so I don't get the shut if I ever post it on socials. Is it too loud? Yeah. Just think, what do I want Q1 to be about? What do I want to be different about myself? I'm just going to share some things. I'll share some things briefly. Help some thoughts download for you. You don't have to answer the question. What would give me a sense of mission? What would be something that would make me feel more alive? What would be something that would be a good challenge and piece of growth for me this quarter? What would give me a feeling of importance, feeling of significance, feeling of I matter? What would help me? Wouldn't even talk about the C, the connection, build a deeper connection with others. What thing do I want, not need, do I want to improve and change about my circumstance? What change do I want to have in my finances? What dollar amount do I want saved in my bank account? What cards do I want paid off? What do I want my body to look like? What do I want to feel? What do I want to experience? Where do I want to be? You've worked your fucking ass off to get here. You've had some challenges. You've had some wins. You've had some progress. You're equipped and you're ready because it's your freaking time. What do you want your quarter to be about? What do you want to experience? What do you want to earn? What do you want to feel? take a little time to think. I'm going to give you 2 more minutes. That was the wrong track. What do you want? What would excite you? If you got to March 31st and these things changed about your current situation, think about your life arenas, your health. What do you want to change in your love with yourself or other? Your family, your friends, your mission, your finances. Your hobbies, your spirit, your faith. Who here, for a brief moment, had a little bit of thoughts that got him a little bit excited? Who here? Oh, let's go. Let's go. Listen, God gifted you this ability to be able to dream. And here's the crazy part. Okay, I told you guys at the beginning, seeking clarity. First habit, all high performers, seeking clarity. We just did a slither of it. And the beautiful part is you're not meant to have all the answers. You're not meant to be like, hey, I found everything. Everything is amazing. Everything is great. Okay? It's, you constantly do this kind of stuff. Because think about it. The reason why I asked you earlier, I'm like, are you constantly in worry, problem, fix this? That's why the thoughts in the showers aren't about the dreams anymore. Do you guys remember long ago? You used to like dream in the shower. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Like the cool shit, the experiences, what could be the money, the trip, the fame, whatever it was for you. We used to dream. And now it's like problem. And I'm like, man, I don't feel motivated today. Okay. The trick is, and I'm going to give you guys something more advanced here, is who here has been taught that motivation is bullshit? Okay, hands up. So drop a 1 if you believe motivation is bullshit. There's no wrong answer. I'm just curious. 1. Okay, we got 1 from Mr. Omar. Oh, Joseph. 2, motivation is bullshit. Nah. Okay. Motivation comes, glide through the day, baby. Glide through the day. Okay. So the reason why seeking clarity is so important is, who here wants to be extremely disciplined this year? Okay. Good. Okay. Good. Okay. So to be disciplined, you need to have a motive. So let me explain that. People tell you motivation is bullshit. I'm like, then you do not understand human psychology. Watch this. Motivation means to have a motive. So the trap is, when we get taught about motivation and all this, when you go into the year, I'm not motivated, we just think this enthusiastic energy. We picture motivation as this like, yeah, I feel amazing, like I'm going to crush the world. That's what we attribute motivations. But that isn't what motivation always looks and feels and smells like. Motivation is about having a motive. To have a motive, you have to have an initiative, a thought, a directive, a thing that we're working toward. So as we're seeking clarity, you're like, wait, your brain is starting, like someone here, you're like, my brain's starting to see something. It's an image. It's not clear. You're like, I kind of know, there's this thing. Yes? You're like, there's something. Like, you're starting to get a motive. And the more you see clarity, you do this tomorrow, and I'll show you the best way that I know to do this, okay, is as you do that, you're like, you now have a motive. You're like, I'm trying to go to Miami. I'm trying to go south. I'm trying to go there. When you have a motive, you can then tap into discipline. Because for discipline to exist, you have to have a motive. So discipline does not exist without motivation. You need to have the motivation to be disciplined. Otherwise, they don't exist. Because without motive, how do you have discipline? What are you trying to be disciplined towards? Just think about this for a second. You're like, man, lifestyle. I want to be, I'm just generous. I want to be traveling. I want to be shredded. I want to be amazing. I want to be this. I want to be that. That's motivation. You have a motive. You're trying to work towards this thing. And we'll talk about how you articulate that. She's like, I have that motivation. I have that thing. I have that motive. So now I know what I'm being disciplined towards. Now I know why I'm doing that extra rep. Now I know why I'm going to that. I'm being disciplined because I'm motivated by this motive that I'm going towards. Y'all tracking? But you don't have the discipline. We all say, I want to be, if only if I was more disciplined. If you're like, I lack discipline, I'm like, you lack clarity. So that should be the exciting thing. When like, I'm missing the discipline, go look for the clarity. What am I trying to be disciplined towards? What am I trying to work towards? Who am I trying to become? What am I trying to move towards? Right? And in this masterclass, I wasn't like, you're like, here's all the answers you're going to figure it out. I'm trying to get you into thinking, in the processes, in the frameworks, in the thoughts that this kickstarts the year for you. Okay? Because you're not meant to be like, boom, download, I know all my answers. And the reason why I was like, hey, let's talk about Q1 for a little bit is because as you do this more and more and more and more, your planning will look wildly different for Q2, 3, and 4. Because you will grow so much as a person. You will know what's possible. Okay, when we talk about productivity in high performance, one of the things that you have to learn is how do I pace this? In order to pace something, how long time am I going to put towards this thing? You need to have the outcome. You need to learn the conditions. So you're like, okay, for the outcome, okay, for me to know the outcome, it's there, but how do I pace it? So the problem is we don't know how to pace because a year is so far because we don't know how to pace properly yet a quarter. So, okay, let's figure out how to pace a quarter. I'm like, well, great, let's pace a week. How do we win a week? And that's why you hear win a day. It always starts with a day. That's why I love, you guys will learn about growth day. Things about I love about growth, the central messaging. Every day is a great day to grow. With ascenders, I'm like, every day you get a choice to be average or you're going to fight. You're going to summon the best of who you are. You're going to bring the best energy. You're going to summon and channel the best of who you are so you can ascend into who you're meant to be. Because that's part of the game, right? Because when you learn, like, let me win this day, let me win this day, let me win, and you win 5, 6, 7 days and you won a week, you're a weapon. Because you all tasted that. You had that day, you just went, SWAT team, blasted through everything. Y'all had that? You're like, I was a fucking weapon. You're like, man, if I could do that every day, I would be unstoppable. Isn't that true? So I'm like, don't get hung up about, let me get a year based on like my non-weaponized me. I'm like, let's get you to a weapon. Let's win the days. Let's win the weeks. Let's win the month. And let's crush one quarter. Because everything will be wildly different after that. Right? And you will grow. You will evolve. You will have more enthusiasm. You will, me, if I got 8 hours of sleep. David, he's crushing. Right? I see him. He crushed. He can't even get 8 hours of sleep. I'm like, dude, you're playing at like 40%, 30%. Get the sleep. Boom. Different weapon. So the point of what I'm trying to get at here is the seeking the clarity, what you're looking for, all of that. I'm going to share my screen. I actually have to draw this out for you. Otherwise, it won't make sense. Is when you look at like, okay, I'm trying to achieve this thing. And you're like, I don't know how to achieve this aspiration, this ambition, this motivation. Let me just share the iPad here for a moment. And y'all tell me if you can see it. Well, this is going to get tricky. Okay. Maybe if I do this, I'll lose the mic. Okay. Maybe I'll explain it and then I'll draw it out as a screen recording and push it out for you guys. Okay. So think about this. At the top, okay, if you draw a box, okay, you could just draw a box. Actually, maybe I could even just draw it like this. You could draw a box. Okay. And underneath it, I'll just show you a simplified example so you can think through the stuff of how you can look at the thing. So if you look at my horrible boxes that I just drew, hey, there you go. You can see it, right? Just boxes. Okay. So think about the top box. Okay. Let me just draw some arrows. Okay. Does that make it make more sense? Box, arrows. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Beautiful. So when you look at the top, you're like, man, I have this desire, this aspiration. I want to do this thing. Okay. So let's say you're like, I want to, you're like, okay, I want to get to, just throwing a number. Okay. 100K business. I want to get to 50K, 10K, whatever. You're just like, I want this thing. Okay. Let's just say I want to add an extra 50 grand, 100 grand. Doesn't matter. Okay. By the end of March 31st. Okay. So you're like, I want this thing. But you're like, how do I start to reverse engineer this? Okay. So that is the top box. You're like, this aspiration, desire, this goal, this thing. Okay. And for simplicity's sake, because everyone's used to it, that's the goal. You're like, I want to get to X dollar by the end of this quarter. Okay. So they're great. That's what we want. Then in the little boxes underneath it, you have to go, okay, for me to get this result, there are these sub results that I have to do. Okay. For me, if you ever got on a call with me, anything, the simplest framework when I look at any business, T, C, you all with me? T, C, C, S, S. Okay. So you have traffic, you have your content, you have your conversations, you have your selling, and then you have your SAFL, serving at the highest level. So when you go look at that, so if I look at the business, you're like, I got traffic, content. So the traffic is how am I getting eyeballs? Where are my eyeballs coming from? Is it ads? Is it email marketing? Is it blah, 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 blah. Cool. I got all this stuff here. Then you have content. What are they seeing that is nurturing them? Right? So for example, if I go post a reel, that's content. It's content. It's what is that thing that is adding value? Some of you, it's like a VSL. I'm like, great, you could probably do way more than just a VSL, right? If you're like really deep into the game, you're like, okay. Elias is like VSL king. Okay. So if you need help, hit him up. He'll just blow it out of this water. So you're like, okay, cool. I got traffic. I got the content. Then I'm like, how are you having the conversation? How are you having the setting? How are you setting with someone? Okay. What is that convo process look like? Is it a DM? Is it a phone call? Is it a Zoom? Is it this? And you're like, okay, cool. I got all, now I have to optimize this part. Then you have the sales. Then you have the selling process. Then you have SAFL, serving at the highest level. So at the very end, you're like, I got SAFL. How do I serve at the highest level? So for you to achieve that, let's just call it 100K, okay, 10K, whatever the number is. I'm just, again, guys, no vanity. I'm just giving a number for simplicity's sake. Let's just say it's that. She's like, okay, what of these things do I have to go and optimize here? And if your business is broken outside of that, and like, hey, and ask, you mentioned the sales and thing, I got to fix my processes. Follow, it starts at T. Always start at T. How is my traffic? Look where the thing breaks and look before it. Okay. So I'm giving you guys a hint. If I'm auditing someone's business, I'm just looking at this. That's all I'm looking at. Okay. So I'm just like, and I'll ask them questions around. And I'm like, their traffic. And I'm like, the ads look good, looks good, good cost, blah, blah. Okay. It's not an ad problem. Then I'm like, okay, what's their content? And I look and I was like, dude, that's all they see before they speak to you. I'm like, that's horrible. Right? Like we got to fix that. So it's like, great, let's fix. Maybe that takes you 2 weeks. Maybe it takes you 3 weeks. Okay. Fix, build, create. Great. Okay. The setting, man, I set all these people, but they no show. Okay. You're like, I have a 40% show rate. I'm like, that's horrible. You're like, I have 70. Still bad. Okay. It's like, okay, I got to fix the conversation problem. Something in the convo is dying. Okay. Then obviously if you're not closing, then you got sales problems. Okay. Then you got SAFL. Okay. If you are on the hamster wheel of constantly getting new clients, I'm like, your product sucks. I'm just going to tell it to you. I will tell it to you, not flippantly. If people churn you, the product sucks because you are not delivering whatever you promised. If someone is leaving you, especially if you're in a thing that you help them make money, buy your thing, the product sucks. Why should someone leave you? And don't beat yourself up. Be like, how can I make it better? You're like, okay, and ask, how do I improve SAFL? Great. Interview your clients. Interview the people that left you, the people that didn't buy. Hey, I'm doing this initiative. I'm trying to make my product world class. I wanted to get on a call with you. In exchange, I'm going to, send you a $50 gift card. I'm going to give you this free tool, resource for my paid clients. I'm going to do this thing for you. I'd love to pick your brain. Go ask them a bunch of questions. Great. Amazing. So if that was these things are in it, you'd love it. Great. Thank you so much. Do it with 10 people. People just aren't willing to do the work. In our cologne business, if you guys don't know, so in our cologne business, I called hundreds and hundreds. I don't even know how many hundreds. Like weeks on it. I'm just calling text. Dude, I'm sending selfie videos as an owner, okay, to all these people. And I'm trying to learn. What was the problem? What did they like? What did they not like? What did they love? What did they didn't love? What did they like? Just over and over and over. Because it's like, how do you fix this? How do you make it better? How do you do that? Okay. So when you look at that and you're like Q1, when you're like, I'm doing my planning and you're looking at the week, you're like, where is the most critical? Where is the issue, the constraint, the bottleneck? Where it needs to be fixed the most here? Is it your traffic? Is it your content? Is it this, that? And maybe do a couple things at the same time. You're all tracking? Okay. The reason why I just showed you that, I showed you an example for business. Okay. Let's say you're like, hey, I want underneath these, underneath these magical, sexy squares, because my drawing is so amazing. Underneath, you just list all the things. Okay. So think of all the things as all the tasks, the behaviors, the activities, the things to achieve those results. Okay. So it's like you have this like ultimate grandiose ambition, goal, desire. I'm just giving you different ways that you could process it. Then you're going to have all these sub core results, core things that have to happen and these things that you got to tweak. Then underneath it, you're going to have the little derivatives, little pieces of it, little splinters of it that you got to work on optimize. And then there's going to be a series of tasks and actions and behaviors that will lead up to that thing. Are you all tracking? Do you see how it just goes like this? Did I do a decent job visually explaining it? I thought, okay, sick. Hey, I see some thumbs up. Okay. So you're like, okay, great. I'm doing this. And then you're like, okay, what am I trying to work on? What am I trying to fix? Great. I'm doing this. Because when you visually see, you're like, I'm doing this. So I can get to this. I can get to this because it supports this. But for order for you to do that, you have to spend the time to seek the clarity. Do an autopsy on your sales, on your business, on your life. If this was a health thing, you could run the same thing. So when you look at the health thing, you're like, okay, I want to get to, let's just say the aspiration is like part of my ongoing thing is I just want to feel freaking on fire. Okay. Because I'm like, I want to be able to come here and just deliver and show and pour. Who here's feeling some of the energy? I don't know. Because the screen is blank. There's so many of you that I can hardly see you. I'm just a tiny man. So I'm more focused on the thing. Right? Amazing. Yes. Okay. So I'm like, okay, I want to be able to deliver. I want to be able to show. I want to be able to serve. I want to be able to love. I want to be able to pour. I want to be able to create. If my energy is dead, it's just not a thing. So I'm like, okay, how do I get peak aliveness? So it's always rest, recovery, my mobility, my nutrition, my workouts, meditation. Like it's like all these different things. And then in all those things, what do you do? And then when you're like, what do I do in these things? How do I plug those into the days? Do you guys follow? Okay, because ultimately what happens is the mind doesn't like uncorrelated activities. The reason as humans we can get distracted, demotivated, procrastinate, push is overwhelm. The number one killer is fatigue. If you are tired, you will just not do shit. It is so freaking hard. Okay, overwhelm, fatigue, uncorrelation. Okay, so the uncorrelation is like, you're like, I'm trying to do all these things, but I don't see where it rolls up. Do you understand? You're like, I'm doing this thing here, I'm fixing, but there's no direction as to what initiative this supports. We don't see where the engine, the system is moving and flowing and going into. Okay, boiling bananas tonight. Yeah, yeah. Right? I see a so true in there, right? You're like, I don't know what this initiative leads to, where it goes. So we don't like these uncorrelated random activities, so we don't stay committed or consistent with it. So the reason why I'm trying to show you a mental model of like, okay, how do you visually roll it up? How do you see it? How do you process it? Is you want to have something visual. Okay. So in the way you could look at it is, way Brendan talks about it, I love, he calls it battle board, right? If you're like, hey, like you have like whole whiteboards on his office doing that. If you are, my biggest thing is you want to have a visual representation. Like you want as many visual things, like, these always like, I always like having these cards because I'm like, we need visual cues. We need as many cues, not just like in a calendar, not in a thing. It could be 5 pieces of paper that you stick up, literally a piece of paper, write the things on it, put it on your wall and just see it in front of you, right? It could be a butcher paper, a piece of paper, a piece of card, or there's just visual things that you see over and over. So you don't see it once, you don't think about it once. It's in your face every single day, right? So probably put it in your place where you work. So every time you sit, you're like, okay. And I wouldn't do just the phone paper. It's like more. Guys, we're in such a hyper digital distracted world. It's not enough. You'll get numb to it. You want to see it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. So when you're lost, you're like, oh yeah, that's what I'm working towards. Oh yeah, that's what I'm doing it for. That's what I'm trying to feel. Y'all with me? So you're trying to get it in your face. And the key is you're not going to have the perfect image. And that's the beauty. You seek clarity. You look at it over and over and over. And then you're at the gym one day and boom, thought comes in, boom, huge breakthrough. You're like, that's exactly what I'm doing. Y'all tracking? And then you're like, all of a sudden, all these thoughts, all these downloads, all these things come. And the reason for all this, if you want the psychology behind it, if you've heard of the RAS, the reticular activating system, is the secret human, the secret power of all humans. Okay. Think of this. In our subconscious mind, we have a thing called the RAS. RAS is very simple. It essentially means pay attention to the shit that is important to you. Okay. So that's why if you ever see someone, simplest example is if you see someone, you or your friend or family buys a car, a certain clothes, a thing, or you wear a Whoop, for instance. Okay. When you see that thing, all you do is you start to see it everywhere. Y'all follow? A water bottle, a tracker, a thing, whatever the case may be, you just see it everywhere. Because now your RAS goes, this is important, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. So you see it everywhere. It's so powerful that when you have it activated, okay, someone's unmuted that I'm hearing. If I could, Jeff. Okay. That when you have your attention on the things, it will start to feed you the thoughts, the downloads, the insights, all of that. So the purpose of having something visual that's not buried in a calendar or whatever, or the purpose of everyone here knows, like, write your goals, but we don't do it, is because it needs to be on the front of your mind. And the key is it's not write your goals, it's see and feel your goals. You need to see it and experience it so you can get pulled by it. We were talking initially about push energy, right? When we're in lack, when we're in scarcity, when we're in pain. If everyone here has been like, you're like, I'm just trying to get out of this situation, is you're being pushed. To get that pull energy, you need to see that thing in your mind before it's ever happened. You need to experience that thing in your mind before it's ever happened. Right? You need to process that in your mind before it's ever happened. So then you're getting pulled towards it. You're getting, like, it's like a magnet. It's drawing you towards it. Because like, man, I want that. I want to see it. I want to feel it. I want to create it. I want to step into that. Y'all tracking? Okay. Are you guys good? I can speed around maybe 10 more minutes and we'll close this out. I had a challenge that I was, because I took us 12 minutes to start. So I'm trying to honor it. We're 12 minutes over. So I want to give the full 2 hours. Okay. I'm curious, for anyone here, did it fly? Like I'm just looking at the clock, boom, 2 hours gone. Okay, cool. Remember that. Time is emotional. I always say this to my clients. I'm like, time is emotional. They worry about, like, is this objection handled too long? I'm like, dude, if you're adding value and it's engaging, it doesn't matter. Time is emotional. That's why you can say something longer. Any of that, it's always emotional. Okay. I want to wrap on 2 tactical pieces that you can go and exercise on that are not things that you've ever heard, hopefully, that you can go and bring into your life. But the key thing is, because I just saw it pop into the chat, is you don't want to write your goals. You want to see and feel your goals. Okay. The thing that I will preach till the day I die. Okay. I'm not even going to make, there's no sale for me, anything of my products here. I'm actually selling something else. I'm going to drop it in here for everyone, and don't go jump into it now as I do it. It's throughout my personal development journey. Okay. Like decade into this. I used to, because information was not the same as it is now. You had to buy this one course from this one person to learn this one thing that was not even in your industry or your topic or your whatever. And you had to, like, go and extract the knowledge and pay a bunch of thousands of dollars. Then you have to go get this other thing and this other thing and this other, like, it wasn't this interconnected free information. Okay. Growth Day, the thing that you see here, is the world's #1 personal development app. I just dropped my referral link. And for the referral link, there's a little kick in it for me. And it's not for that. I donate all the money to provide events and things for third world countries, the most beautiful thing. But that's not the reason why to get it. I'm just letting you know up front, is that in there, you will get access from all the research, all the journal prompts, all the activities, all the things that you ever do, what to say to yourself. How do you journal in the morning? How do you journal in the evening? You will have, if you're like, I love this, Brendan's on there every single day. There's a daily fire. There's a new message. There's a new teaching. Some of my growth days in here. How incredible and valuable is the platform? And it's like $50 a month. It's Love Growth Day. It's the most like if you are a bread line, spend the money. If you cannot spend, like, I can't stress this enough. Like, my clients are not allowed to be with me if they're not on it, just so you guys know. Like, they're all forced to get it. I'm like, I will not force you anything. There's no upsell for me. I'm like, just buy that. Okay. Here, there is no sell. If you ever want to work with me, go to Elite Coaching, DM me a send. That's it. Great. Amazing. We'll explore that. I will serve. I will explore my heart. Okay. But what I care way more about is go get growth thing. After this call, don't get distracted. We're going to wrap up super quick. Go get it. Plug in. Do the journals. Do the activities. Play with it. Learn. Consume. I promise you, it will be single-handedly one of the greatest shifts you ever make for you in the year. Okay? But the important thing to honor the promise that I made you is what stops us from achieving any goal, any aspiration, anything. You're like, man, I could be motivated. I could be this. I could be do that. Like that. Is we create these goals and ambitions and desires, but we forget to architect ourselves. Okay. And what I mean by architect ourselves is we have to redesign is who is this next version of me that I'm trying to step into. Let me re-explain that because this is the most important thing of the call. You don't get your goals, you get your standards. Okay. Meaning what you tolerate, what you allow. It's not about getting the goal. You're like, it's you get who you're becoming. It's the standards, what you tolerate, what you do, what you don't do. That's what you get. Okay. So when you look at this, the reason a lot of times we don't achieve that next level is we are not that type of person who can go and achieve and attain that next thing. Y'all tracking? You're like, I want this. So if I use the 100K example, you're like, I want that. You're doing the things, but you never upgraded the CPU. You did not upgrade the type of person that you have to be to go and achieve that thing. Y'all tracking? So fancy word, identity. Okay. The identity has to be congruent with who you're trying to become and who you're trying and what you're trying to achieve. So when we look at the ascender's journey, what is the ascender's journey about? It's about this. There is no destination in personal development. That's the beautiful thing. You're going to do it to the day that you die. That's what excites me. I'm always growing. I'm always learning. I'm always upgrading the thinking. I'm always upgrading the behaviors. Who here like loves this? That you're like, man, I'm growing. I'm learning. I'm like, who here loves that? When you're like, man, I had this click. I had this, right? Whether it's here or somewhere else, like that's the game because that's part of the magic, right? We're constantly looking for growth. Okay. I got to figure out how to learn how to zoom on zoom. Okay. We're constantly looking for the magic. Okay. So when you're like, man, I want the magic, I'm going to give you the 4 buckets. So we call this the clarity chart. This is to help you be like, okay, if I could like figure out for myself, like, how do I work on me and what I'm trying to do, the things that you're trying to seek clarity on. Okay. So you can write the 4 words: it's self, social, skill, service. Okay. So self is you're always trying to be like, who am I who is the best version of me? Okay. And the simplest example that I want everyone to do for Q1 is I want you to come up with a word. Okay. I want you to come up with 3 words in particular that define the best of who you are, of who you're trying to become. So let me give you an example. Okay. One of my words right now, and these will change over time. Okay. For many years, one of my words was joyous. And I would have an alarm on my phone that rang 3 times. Sometimes I'd have it set to 4 times every single day. And it prompt me with these things. And when it prompts me, I would see the word joyous. And I'd have to close my eyes. I'm like, am I bringing the joy? Am I summoning the joy? Am I being joyous right now? And I'm like, 1 to 10. Because guess what? What did I tell you at the beginning? Change starts with awareness. So you always have to have the awareness or you can't change. So I'm like, okay, great. What's 10? I'm like, man, I'm a 5. I'm like, dude, why? I'm sucking the life out of my day. I am the Capitan. I choose to suck the life. Because you don't have emotions. They don't just come to you. You generate it. So I'm like, okay, I'm not generating the joy. Y'all follow? You could choose to be grumpy, pissed off, and annoyed, or you could choose to be excited. You can choose to channel and direct that. You can rev yourself up. And if you're like, I don't know how, great. That's the beauty. That's what you're going to set towards. You're going to build that muscle. Okay. Get growth day. So when you're like, who am I trying to become? I had joyous for years. And now, do you know what's funny? So many times I catch it, I'm like, I'm a 6, I'm a 5, I'm a 3, I'm a 2. And now, if that prompts, I'm like, dude, I'm an 8. I'm so more conditioned to have and bring way more joy in my life because I kept having these pit stops every day. Oh, hey, where's the joy? Where's the joy? How you feeling? Hey, man, how can I bring my joy? I'm like, oof, loosen up. Man, let's bring it. Yo, it's all good, bro. Like, and I have to channel that. I'm like, well, can I get excited? And I bring that back in. Okay. So when you look at that for your words, for me right now, one of my words this year, and it could change, but right now, immediately in this quarter is assertive. I was like, I want to step into even more assertiveness. I want to be more direct, more bold, unapologetic. I want to make next level bold demands, bold claims. I want to assert myself in the marketplace. I want to assert myself in situations. I want to push past that discomfortable thing on an unholy level. I was like, I want to be extremely assertive. Y'all know what I'm talking about? You know what assertive means, okay? If you don't, go look it up. It's a beautiful word. You're like, I want to be assertive. So when you think about you, you're like, okay, if I describe the best of me, who am I trying to grow into as a person? Okay, so think about this. If someone checked in with you 6 months from now and they're like, yeah, man, you know, that Jim, that Joseph, that Omar, that Kieran, that Aiden, man, Gabriel, he's really decisive. You're like, ooh, that's an interesting one. Are you catching yourself in a lot of indecision? Maybe that's your thing. You're like, hey, I want to be really decisive. You're like, man, he's really bold. He's really confident. He's really disciplined. He's really courageous. He's really ambitious. You get what I mean? And you got to find that because, again, Miami. I'm trying to go to Miami. You don't need to know how. You're like, I'm trying to be more assertive. I'm trying to be more joyous. I'm trying to be more patient. Right? So you're like, okay, patience is my thing. So then you're like, okay, how can I become more patient? How do I build that character? So then you have these check-ins. So you're like, okay, that is who I'm trying to grow into. Y'all tracking? So who here has at least gotten one word down? Drop your words in the chat. Drop a word. Drop one of your words. Okay. And as you come up with these words, okay, you always have to come up with why is it this word for me? Why is it this word for me? Okay. And you have to figure out decisive. I love that. Passion. So good. Beautiful. Alive. Unapologetic. Beautiful. So you're like, okay, that you're trying to define the best of who you are and who you're becoming. So you know who you're trying to grow into. Okay. So I'm like, okay, great. Now, so we said there's self, social, skill, and service. So when you look at social, and I'm not going to overwhelm you, I'm just showing you these are the 4 buckets. You're like, where do I see clarity? Social. Okay. How do you want to treat others? So if you were to define that, okay, so you're like, okay, who can I improve my interactions with? Who can I improve my engagement with? But if you're thinking about, okay, like how do I want to engage with others? Seeking, like, think about this, okay? Some of y'all suck at engaging with people. And do you know how I know that? Because I saw how the beginning of the call started. We were all here for that, right? I was like, there's sales. Am I in the right Zoom, guys? We're with the sales guys, the pros, entrepreneurs, business owners, trying to do really big shit. Okay, cool. Just checking. Okay. So I'm like, gotcha. How do you want to interact with others? Okay. And I'll give you a thing. For some of you, it could be just like, I don't want to be judgmental. Some of you are caught in the trap. I've been there. You judge people. You're like, oh, they're a loser. They suck. They're starting. They're this. Or you have one of the traps for high performance that we talk about is, okay, you ready? You ready for it? Okay. You get superiority. You get superior mindset. You think you're better than them. You think they're less than. You think they're inadequate. You think they suck. You think they're ignorant. You think they're dumb. You get superior minded. So I'm like, great. What's the antithesis of that for you? Okay. So you got to think for you, okay, if you want to think about social, like what will define how I interact with people? One of mine, okay, and it's a constant beat, is patient. I want to be patient. Man, sometimes I talk with someone, my mind's like racing, they want to jump. I'm like, be patient, be patient. Because I have to shout that command to myself in my mind when I talk to someone, be patient. Sometimes it's really hard to love on someone. It's really hard. So the word's loving. So I'm like, hey, love on them. Sometimes I pray, I'm like, hey, God, help me love on them, even when it's hard to love. And you got to love. I don't know what is for you, but you all know that there's a way that you can level up. You define how you want. Like, think about this. Couple of words that would just help you guide how you interact with others. And think about that. I'd love for you to drop one in the chat. How do you want to interact with others? Growth day sales after Zoom. That's so funny. Present, patient, mature, listening, receptive. Beautiful. It's powerful. And guys, this is not just for your personal life. This is also for your sales, right? So good. Okay. Skills. Okay. I won't go too deep into skills because you're kind of seek that clarity. It's just to give you a realm. When you're thinking about the magic that you're trying to build, the things that you're trying to fix and work and level up into, the most important thing that I hope that you do, what I was talking about earlier, is go seek best practices. Where can you get? Someone's already figured this out. Someone's already way further than you. Someone's already way faster at this. Don't go try to reinvent the wheel. Go get best practices, study best practices, implement, then innovate. So what skills right now do you need to develop that are the most significant for you? And since we're talking about this just for Q1, email marketing is one for me right now. I'm obsessing about email marketing. Okay. Paid media is another one that I'm obsessing for. I'm obsessing hard on media buying, paid media, traffic, all of that. So what am I doing? So my clarity is I want to become like God level at the paid media side. So I'm like, great. What am I doing? I'm in the tools. I'm getting the coaching. I'm studying ads. I'm going deep on it. And that's part of my commitment. That's part of the stuff I'm going to carve out in my week is to go build these skills. Okay. That's the skill component. Okay. The service is thinking about, well, how can you add value to people around you? Sometimes we get so caught in us. And Ed Milet, I believe it was Ed, said the greatest thing, and it always rings in my mind when I struggle. I'm always like, when you're feeling helpless, be helpful. Go help someone else. Okay, guys. Like I hope that you get the gift of just helping someone for the sake of just helping someone. Healed people, John Gordon. Most incredible thing. He said, healed people, hurt people, hurt people. People who are hurt people. When someone bullies you online in person, I'm like, they're hurting. And that's why they hurt you. Okay. People in pain give pain. Elias is just like dropping mic drop after mic drop. Right. But healed people, they heal people. So in all of this, part of the ascender way, you're like, go be a role model, go help someone. Sometimes, guys, someone's gonna ask. Guys, people ask me stuff on the DMs all the time. I'm like, this is insane time bandwidth to go do. I do my very best. Voice note, respond back, because I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help. It's not, there's no dollar in it for me. I'm just like, let me just help. Let me just help. Let me just help. And I tell you this for a reason, because some of you want to always get help, but you're not ever willing to go out of your way to go help someone. You're not willing to be selfless. And you're constantly stuck being selfish. Let me repeat that one more time. Okay. Some of you are stuck constantly wanting help. Take, me. You get so caught being selfish, you forget to be selfless. You forget to go help and serve someone else. You forget that it's not meant to have a time ROI to go help someone. You are helping for the sake of helping someone. It is like donations. It is like charity. When I'm donating, I'm not like, well, now because I did this, you owe me that. Like, it's like, no, you're just giving. And the reason I give, and I continue to give, and I'll always give, is because if you don't know how to do it now, I got this drilled into me from Tony Robbins. He's like, if you can't give I don't know what it did exactly, but it's like, if you can't give $1 when you have 1,000, you'll never give 1,000,000 when you have 10. And the simple messaging is, you can't say, oh, I'll donate once I'm like, I have donated when I was bankrupt, and I've donated when I've been balling, and I'll continue to do it throughout the whole game. Because I'm like, if I don't do it now, I won't do it then. If you are not selfless, you will not be selfless later on. And you know what? You will attract what you want. You are asking for help, but you block that from the universe. Whether you believe in energy, God, faith, any of that. I'm like, you can't say, help me, be loving. I want amazing people. I want patient people. I want cool people. I want people to go above and beyond and help me, but I ain't going to go be that. You will always attract who you are and who you're becoming. So the purpose of seeking clarity is, who am I trying to become? Who is the best version of me? How do I want to show up and interact with other people? That is the social, that is the service. What skills do I need to develop, right? How can I be of service to someone else? When you reflect your week, when you go to growth day, there's a weekly prompt. You go reflect on your week. So you're like, hey, I'm reflecting on the week. And okay, this week, did I help you? Am I developing these skills? Am I moving in the right direction, right? Am I growing into that person? Because in all of this, as you're seeing some of these clarity, as you're going through this, the main thing I want you to do, even if you're like, man, I'm overwhelmed, this is a lot. I want you to make it very clear, an action thing on your paper is, at the end of this, create an alarm on your phone, Okay, so what you do for my iPhones, Android, you're alien, so figure it out. On your iPhone, you create an alarm. You give the name a label. Okay, and I want you to do a mix of this. Put in questions. Okay, so for instance, let's say someone said, I want aliveness. So you put a question is, how can I generate more aliveness right now? Question mark. Put it at 11 p.m., repeat Monday to Friday. 11 a.m. Okay, you get me? You're like, man, you know what? This thing, usually at 2 o'clock, I'm very irritable. I'm not patient. Great. How can I generate more patience right now? Boom, 2 o'clock, repeat every day. You follow? When the alarm hits, you got to honor it. You look at it, damn, be patient. How can I be more patient? Okay. A different alarm. I want you to have 3 alarms in a day. Okay. A different alarm. And it doesn't matter. Don't get hung up in 3, maybe do 4. It doesn't matter. I want you to do a couple of questions, a couple of words. So when you pick 3 words, pick 3 words that you're like, man, this is the best of me. So I'm trying to become. This one's gonna make me successful. This is if I died in this next month, and that was on my tombstone, and they were at my party, and they said, man, Troy was like this, Aaron was like this, Keaton was like this, William was, and you're like, man, it was this one and that one and that one. Amazing. Put those 3 words in all caps and an alarm and make it repeat. And when it hits, you're gonna look at it and be like, what level am I right now? 1 to 10. How can I go be more of that? Y'all tracking? And the purpose of that is you're like, okay, Miami's here. We're going to Miami. You're like, am I off course? You're like, hey, alarm hit. Which way is Miami? Oh, it's that way. You're redirect. Y'all follow? Are you guys tracking the Miami analogy? Hopefully I didn't lose you. If you were there, okay, cool. Right? So you're like, Miami's here, alarm hits. You're like, oh shit, we're off course. Let's come back. Okay. Then later on, Miami alarm hits. You're like, oh shit, I'm off course. Right. And the purpose of that is, and that's how you grow into who you're meant to be. That's how you ascend. That's how you end up achieving all the things that you want. Because you're not generally going to go get that goal. You're going to get that standard. You're going to get who you get to become. So the purpose in all of this, the biggest thing that I wanted to hammer in all of this, in this whole vision masterclass, it is never about having this crystal clear, perfect clarity. You're like, I know everything, every single thing. The greatest statement that I want you to write now: clarity battles are won and lost within the hour. Clarity battles are won and lost within the hour. You can wake up disciplined, committed, hit a workout, take a bunch of calls, do this stuff. You're on fire, 4 or 5 hours. You're crushing it, and you are dumb at 2 p.m. And then it's 4, and you're like, where the hell did the time go? You lost clarity. It is lost and won within the hour. You have to constantly seek clarity. Okay, so if you look at it, level 1 is clarity by the hour. Level 2 is that like multi-day to a week. You're like, what's this week about? Okay. Level 3, what we're talking about, what's this quarter about? It's not this or that. You want to hyper focus on level 1 clarity. Hyper focus. Let me win the hour. Let me win the hour. Let me win the hour. Let me win the hour so I can win a day. And the way you do that is the more frequent checkpoints that you have, the more course corrected you are. Y'all tracking? The more, hey, wait, check it. Where are we at? How are we doing? What's these last 2 hours about? And you're like, oh shit, I drifted. Who here has drifted in a day? And then you get to the end and you're like resentful. You're like, I didn't work. I didn't make money. I didn't even take a fucking break. I would have been better off just having a beer and sitting outside because I didn't do shit. Okay. And you're like resentful and you're annoyed. But do you know what happens? Because you don't capture that reflection. You don't go into growth day and you're like, okay, let me journal on this. It's digital. No one can see it. And you're like, okay, let me go journal. And you're like, journal. Like, like, this thing happened, And you talk about it and you follow the prompts. And then you're being guided. And you're like, okay, amazing. So next time this happens, what do I do? Okay. I can tell you, I made an F up on Wednesday. Okay. I know that because I journaled on it. And I was like, when this happens again, this is what I'll do differently. And because I had the awareness, when it happened again, guess what? I operated differently. I changed the behavior. But here's the funny thing. It wasn't perfect that time. So I journaled about it again on Thursday. That was the funny thing. And then guess what? When it happened again today, I was on point. I didn't get it the first time. I got better the second time. But because I stayed on it, I caught it the third time. Y'all tracking? Because it's that awareness. Okay. We're like monkeys. You're like, we'll just drift. We'll jump here. We're like, and you're like, hey, come back. Hey, no, we're not supposed to do this. Do that. Right. And you're like, seek clarity, adjust, seek clarity, adjust, seek clarity. Okay. Because the game is awareness, you see clarity, and then you have the initiative. So the final 3 words I invite you to write down. DCA. Okay. DCA. Okay. For my elite clients, they'll hear it in the modules. I'm always like, you disciplined, committed action. That is a different thing. Here, I'm just talking about decide, commit, act. I want you to have a daily DCA. And what I mean by a daily DCA is right now, we're formulating these ideas. You're like, I'm going to make, who here is like, I'm going to make this year the best year? You're like, I know it. It's going to happen. I'm going to feel it. Like, drop a freaking amen in all caps, unmute. Just let's hear what this best year is going to sound like. Look, this is going to be the best year. I don't care if it's late. People around you.
Let's go.
You clap for yourself.
Let's
go.
Amen.
Amen. Let's
Amen.
go. You're like, let's go. You're like, this is going to be the best year. So you're like, I know that. That's a decision. But here's the problem. It's a DCA, okay? It's a discipline, committed action. Meaning what? You make this decision today. I promise you, some of us, by 3 hours from now or tomorrow, I know for me, by like tomorrow morning, I'm done. The decision's gone. Yes? Y'all know what I'm talking about? This enthusiastic energy fades. So I have to go, what's my DCA? What am I deciding? I want world-class life. If you guys hear me, if you're around me enough, you'll hear. World's number 1, sales and high performance coach. World's number 1, sales and high performance coach. World's number 1, sales and high performance coach. Because I'm always like, that's where we're going. Changing the world, changes the sales game. I'm going to pour my heart out. I will do it harder. I will love. I will serve. I will do whatever it takes. I will do this game till the day that I die. And I'm like, that's it. That's it. So I'm always like, okay, cool. Because I'm always trying to remember, what's the decision? What's the decision? Because if I don't, I drift. And when I drift, it's because I didn't have that decision followed by commitment. That's why DCA, the commitment, it's different. A decision is like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have the best year. Y'all follow? That's the decision. I'm going to change this. You decide it. What does a commitment look like? Commitment is like, you have to like rev yourself up. Like you got to be, we're doing this. It's going to happen. This was like, I'm committed. I'm going to do whatever. Do you get what I mean? Decide. I'm going to get in the best shape of my life. Great. Tomorrow wakes up. You're like, I'm tired. Okay. I woke up a couple of days ago, massive freaking migraine. Like I thought I was going to punch my head through the wall. And I was like, I got to go to the gym. I got to do it. Okay. And I was like, I'm about to cancel. And I was going to bail on the workout bike. And I was like, right. And then my brain kicks in and it's like DCA. I'm like, mother, you have a decision. You have a commitment. Get your ass up. I don't care if you got a migraine. If it's going to blow up, it's going to be the worst workout. Get your ass up. So I'm like, that's the commitment. That's what we're committed to. So I have to reinforce it. Go take action. Get your ass up. Get to the gym. You follow? So the key in all of this, what I'm trying to do is the challenge is every day. You have to come back. And that's why when you look at all this, I'm like, you have to have a morning routine. I don't care what anyone sells you. Get up and work. I'm like, dude, the one anomaly who promotes you, get up and fucking grind and have a coffee, I'm like, hey, I don't know about you. A lot of times when I see those guys, I'm like, I don't want your life. I don't see joy. I don't see vibrancy. I don't see the happiest, loving most marriage. And it's no judgment to them. I'm like, I don't want what you have, so I'm not going to go and do what you have. I'm like, I want bliss. I want joy. I want play. I want to feel God in my day, right? I want to get some of that. So I'm like, great, amazing. Right? I could take some advice here, but I'm like, I ain't going to take it that. And guess what, guys? There's always going to be anomalies. So I'm like, if that's a 1 in a freak billion case, I'm like, I'm not going to go follow that. But I'm like, who here knows almost every successful person that you know that has happiness, wealth, and all of that tells you there's some version of a morning routine. You don't have to be a genius. I'm like, they all do. So I'm like, okay, let me go listen to the anomaly because it's confirmation bias because I just want to do that. They're like, oh yeah, of course you can get up and work. But then you're dumb 4 hours later, 3 days later, you're not motivated, you're procrastinating because you never created time or space to think about the vision, the dream, the goal, the ambition, any of that, because you're disconnected from it, okay? Like, you're like trying to compare it to Elon. I'm like, bro, he just hit $4 billion. I don't know if you guys are, $400 billion. I'm like, incredible. First human on planet Earth. Anomaly. At least first human publicly, okay? I'm like, anomaly. I'm like, don't go and be like, let me be like Elon. Go learn all the stuff. But I'm like, okay. So point is, DCA, discipline, committed action. So you have to have this like, okay, I'm going to decide. I'm going to make this decision every day. I'm going to commit and I'm going to make these commitments and I'm going to remind myself and to feed it. I'm going to take action. Okay. So in this, okay, I got to find the card. The main things, okay, the actions. You have to build your own morning routine. You do not need someone to tell you what it is. But what I can tell you is your morning routine should ideally comprise of something to open up your body. Your hip, your body, everything is super tight. I can't tell you, there probably hasn't been a single day that I've not opened up my body in the morning because I'm like, I need to have loose, I need to have energy, I need to do that. Okay. I like a workout. So you need something to open up your body. So something for your body, do something for your brain. Okay. Do something for your spirit. It's very simple. So it's like, okay, whether that's you reading, whether that's you meditating, whether it's audio, it doesn't matter. Just do something. But the most important part is you need to have planning time. You need to have some plan where you're just going to sit there and it's growth day and you hit the morning mindset and it'll guide you through what you need to do. Or, okay, if you're like, I'm going to be an alien, I'm just going to reject the greatest thing that hit planet Earth for absolutely no money. And all you're going to do is you're just going to sit there with your plan. Again, see clarity. That is it. You're just going to see clarity. And the key distinction, okay, I gave it took me like, I don't know, 7 years maybe to learn this. A key distinction that I shared with my clients where when you journal, and if I had to boil any single thing that has made me more money, more connection, more grace, anything in my entire life, and the top three, and it'll never change, is journaling. It was the single-handed one of the, I actually want to say it's the number one biggest change in my life was actually journaling. Because growth happens at the end of the day. It happens at the reflection. When you capture the wins, when you have all this insights, when you have all of that. But the key thing is when you journal and when you plan, you don't just do it. You have to feel the thing. So if you go, what was something I appreciated today? People do gratitude wrong. That's why they do gratitude journals and like, it didn't work for me. And I'm like, yeah, because you didn't feel into it. You just wrote the thing. I'm grateful for my blah, 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 blah. Okay. So we're like, what went well today? Okay. A moment to appreciate. You're like, oh man, it was really cool. This person surprised me with this thing. If you write it, you don't feel it. But if you sit there and you like close your eyes, and the first couple of times it's weird because you don't know how to visualize yet because the muscle is gone, but we used to know how to do it as kids. So you have to sit there and you're like, and you smile like, oh man, and you play it in your mind. Man, that was so cool. I can't believe they did that. How so loving. They took all that extra time. But this thing happened, right? I still today, does not matter how much money I make, what I do, I still celebrate every single like dollar that comes in. Because I remember when I was broke and I couldn't make money and like $100 was a bajillion dollars. And now I know it's so easy to get numb to it that I still have to be celebration, that I still have to be grateful, that I still drop on my knees in gratitude and prayer. To remind me, okay, especially the affiliate money. I still celebrate all the affiliate money. It's so tiny, but it's so amazing. I'm like, yo, someone's gonna change his life. This is so amazing. It's gonna help me, help someone. You have to feel these things. Okay. And the goals for you, it's not to chase something, it's the feeling that you're gonna get. So the beautiful thing is if you want to add pull energy to your life, you have to see and feel these things. And you're not gonna have the perfect image. You're not gonna know what it looks like. And that's what makes it fun. You're going to see clarity. You're going to see clarity and it's going to feel weird and it's going to feel off and it's not going to click right away. But then 2 days later, 3 days later, it's the same as when people are like, I don't know how to meditate. It doesn't work. My brain goes crazy. Great. It's very loud at the beginning. Then it gets quieter and quieter and quieter and it's calm. And when you get to a very calm place, you can get to bliss. It's like 2-3 minutes in now. I'm like, my body's vibrating. I'm like, this is Zen. It's the greatest feeling on planet Earth. But initially I was like, dude, I'm like ADHD. My brain's crazy. I can't do it. But it's the same as the goals and the dreams and the vision. You have to see it, and then it turns into a picture, and it turns into a scene, then it turns into an image, then it turns into a thing that's already happened. Y'all tracking? And if you doubt that, who here as a kid could dream something so freaking vividly that you could have it? Y'all know what I'm talking about, okay? You could dream. For my men, I apologize for being profound. You can think about a woman who is not here, who you will never be with, and get your heart rate racing and blood pumping in all different directions. Is that true? You never even been with them. What's that? Oh shit. Because your brain can't tell the difference between what's real and actualized. So if you know how to do that, I'm reminding guys, we all have the muscle. We just have to go and exercise. Okay. And I'm going to drop one more link in here. One of my favorite exercises to do, and you don't have to do this every morning, just so you don't feel overwhelmed. I would say go do this for a week straight. Okay. It's a meditation exercise. It's about 15 minutes. I'm dropping it in here. It's by Tony Robbins. If you're just watching this and you can't see the link, go and look up Tony Robbins Prime. It is one of the single greatest exercises you could ever do. You just have to watch the first minute because he'll show you how to breathe. And then after that, you just close your eyes, sit in a dark place, put on the headphones. One of the most blissful experiences you have. Maybe the first couple, you can't create the images right away, but do this for a week and you will see massive unlocks in your life from your gratitude, from your bliss, from your visualization. He will walk you through it all. So if you're like, and ask, how do I do this visualization? How do I do a lot? He'll walk you through, and he does it at a world-class level. It is an amazing exercise. But the goal of all of this for everyone here is to see clarity. You don't need someone to tell it to you what your vision should look like, what your goals should look like. Permission slip, be a hot mess. It's not meant to be perfect. It is not meant to look amazing and crystal clear. But if you already, who here got some clicks and breakthroughs in this one session alone? Woo! Can I get a double hands up if you're like, man, my brain is racing. I'm getting excited. Let's go. Many clicks. I love that. Okay. So you're like, oh, so stuff's already flowing. All you have to do, here's the crazy thing. You get to do that every single day. Like, you don't, I was like, my job is not to be the guy to tell you what your goal is. It's like, I'm like, hey, you know how to do this. You can do this. You just have to put the discipline. You're like, I'm going to decide and I'm going to commit. I'm going to seek clarity. All you take away, seek clarity, put intention, work towards the thing. It doesn't even have to look perfect. But if you just did that every single day, then you just reflected, you journaled, and you had some daily goodness. My biggest thing is daily goodness. Part of the reason I love Growth Day, Brendan goes in there. If you guys think I pour my heart out, go see him pour his heart out every single day on a daily fire, right? Some goodness in you, new listen, new insight, new this. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't even know I could have so much positivity and good and excitement and joy and love and so much of that. And when you do the work, okay, Jim Rohn says it best. When you work harder on you, then you work on your business. That is literally what you need to do, because you are the business, guys. You are the business. If you're in sales, entrepreneurship, you are the business. And if you have team, you are the leader. You have to work on yourself, because if you can't work on yourself, your people are going to leave you. They're going to suck. They're not going to be motivated, because they're like, why am I looking up to him? He's half depressed. He's half engaged. He ain't acknowledged me. He ain't loving on me. He ain't got no dreams. He ain't got no goals that inspire me. So remember this. If you're trying to go somewhere very far and do something big, you are eventually going to have to lead people. And if you're not in that position yet, you have to learn to lead yourself first. How you do that? It's like decide, commit, and act. Decide, commit, and act every single day. Reflect, build a plan, work the plan. It's okay to be a hot mess. It's okay for it to be gray. It's okay for it to be wild. Guess what, baby? We are ascenders. This is what we do every single day. You're like, I could be average. I could do complacent. I could do easy. But you know what? I'm going to do this morning routine. I'm going to plan. I'm going to figure out what it is. And you know what? The first 5 days you're going to do it. It's going to suck. It's going to be weird. You're going to burn a lot of time. You're not going to know, but you're going to do it. And you can do it again. You're going to do it again. And you're going to do it again. And here's the trick. What's more important than a morning routine is an evening routine. Evening routine needs a reflection, needs a plan for the next day, needs wind down, needs like rest. Let your body open up. Do that. Evening routine is number one priority. Then your morning routine. Okay. And after that, all you have to add is a Sunday reflection. It could be Saturday. It could be Sunday. You need sacred time at the end of the week, and at minimum, I would say an hour, that you're just going to sit there, reflect on everything on the week, because that's how we're going to make sure we make it to Miami, right? You're like, okay, we just traveled 182 miles. Are we going the right direction? How did it go? What went well? What didn't go well? And guess what? You're like, and ask, how do I reflect? Growth Day, baby. Go hit weekly review. I'll guide you through everything. I don't even need to explain it to you. Okay. So you go in and you reflect, like, how was this week? Where did we go to? How did it work out? Amazing. We're on this side. We're doing this. I didn't like these things. Great. What's next week about? That's it. And your clarity game is just staying within level 1 and level 2. Clarity for the hour in the day, clarity for the few days in the week. That is it. And you're just playing this game week by week. And you're just like, let me get better. Let me get better. Let me progress. Let me progress. And the more you do it, the more you step into it, the more you touch it, the more you feel it, the more you experience it. Guess what? All of a sudden, you're like, dude, I'm fucking alive. Who feels a little bit of aliveness? You're like, man, I'm getting excited. You're like, I'm getting pulled up. I actually want to wake up and do this stuff. And I feel it. And it's not a chore, because now the more connected I am, the more I see it, the more I feel it, the more I experience it, the more I know I'm working towards it. And it gives you that sense of calm, that poise, that connection, that excitement. So always remember, you are not lazy. You are not broken. You are not messed up. You are not ADHD, circle, tomato, purple. All of that does not matter. Always just come back to, oh, if you're stuck procrastinating any of that, just let me see clarity. Step back away from the desk. Step back away from the thing. Let me see clarity. What is this next hour about? What are we trying to go to? Where is this going to? Let me journal. Which, guys, so many times it gets stuck throughout the day. Boom, I open up Growth Day. I'm like, let me just journal. That's it. I'm like, release. Okay, release it all. Whatever the thoughts, let me reset the intention. Let me go on to the day. Y'all tracking? And who here truly believes to your core that if you're like, man, if I just sat down and had more of these checkpoints, more of these frequent things, more of these alignments, that who here believes by Q1 The trajectory of your year could be wildly different than any previous year that you've had to date. That's every hand. That's the game. And that's what makes it beautiful. Because we're here, we're going to do the work, and in the community, we're going to cheer you on. There's going to be some incredible things being rolled out, and I'm so excited to share it with you guys. And I wanted to remind you that you are stronger than you think. You are so freaking capable. You are unstoppable. God put this vision in this dream, this desire. It is true to you. You do not need someone else's approval, not need someone else's acceptance. You are important as you are. Whatever it is in your path, it's okay to not know it, not have it perfect, to make mistakes. Do that. Be a hot mess, but bumble into it. Be assertive. Assert your dominance into the space. Own the game that you are playing. Move boldly towards it, right? And add the sense of urgency and learn the secret skill of don't listen to yourself on the day-to-day. Talk to yourself, okay? Learn to embed commands. Learn to embed commands. One of my favorite ones that I learned is do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now. When I'm like, I don't want to get up, do it now, do it now. I don't want to do this, do it now, do it now, do it now. I don't want to film, do it now, do it now. And I'm just shouting, do it now, let's go. And I'm like, let's get this sense of urgency back. Okay, I'm back to like when I move now, I'm like, I'm running up the stairs because I'm like, I'm on a mission. Because you know, when I walk real slow, I ain't on a mission. But I'm like, I'm on a mission. Let's go. And I'm trying to get this extra fire, this extra set, this extra pep into me. And for you, okay, you're on a mission yourself. You're on your journey. And if you feel overwhelmed and stuck, that's part of the game. See clarity, take the step, journal, reflect, and always know you got the Ascender's trap. We all here. We all a group of crazies. Thank God for the biggest blessings, the greatest gift of all time. If I could have one massive gratitude, is that I was blessed the gift to repel jerks. I don't know why. I was blessed. If you're like, what's an innate thing? I was blessed. I repel jerks. I don't get jerks. We get incredible people. That's my greatest, one of my greatest gifts of all time. We got incredible people here. So I'm like, this community and a tribe to build on. I'll be extra active, engaged. We'll be adding extra calls. We'll be adding extra things in there. And I want you to show up and I want you to serve. I don't want you to get caught in the trap that this is like Netflix and chill being here. It's like show up, serve, be selfless, engage, right? Do that, but at a balance. So you do your work, you do this. Maybe this is just a part where you engage, you show up, you ask, give and take. Be engaged. Don't go on this journey alone. Don't make this year alone for you. Okay. We are not meant. If you go and you're alone and lonely on your journey, you're doing it wrong. It is not meant to be alone. We have tribe, we have community, love, show up, serve. And my greatest ask, if you got a ton of value from this, man, I should have got some people to screenshot and share this on their socials, but it's all good. Okay. Is my only ask, if you're like, hey, and ask, I got a ton of value. How can I thank you? I'm like, just go be a role model for the people around you. That's my biggest ask. Be a role model, right? When things are crazy, when things are wild, you are the calm, you are the collected, you are doing the world. Like, I want you to inspire people by your actions, not what you say. The people around you, they're like, oh, he's different. This isn't just this New Year thing. Like, he's different. She's different. She's doing this. Like, there's something different about them because of the actions of what you're doing and how you're showing up. And my prayer to you is I pray that God blesses each of us and we get the opportunity to show up and step into who we were meant to be. Because guess what time, guys? There is no greater time to be alive than right now. This is our year. This is your year. Okay, if you with me, you can mute, unmute, and say, it's my year. It's my freaking year.
My year.
It's my year, baby. It's my time, baby.
My
It's
year.
my time,
Our
baby.
year.
It's your
Our
team.
year.
It's our
Let's
year. Okay? This is our chance. We do the work. We will show up. We will do whatever it takes. We will serve at the highest level. We will pour our hearts out. Because no matter what, be so good you can't be ignored. Win, lose, or draw, they love you. Do the right things always. And if you remember, he precedes you. This is all part of his plans. And life is never happening to you. It is happening for you, my friends. God bless you. I love you guys. I appreciate it.
Amen.
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 Let's go.
Oh, let's go.
Guys, I will be pushing for everyone that's recorded into the email. I'll be pushing the recordings out to you. I appreciate you. I'm freaking excited for you. Let's make this our biggest year yet. Okay. We'll talk to you guys very soon. A lot of fun.